Chapter 1726. Along the way, Chen Xian and the others bragged about their driving skills, as if they were the top racers. Yun Jian was immune to it, and she didn't say a word. Young boys and girls gathered together. Regardless of whether they were rich or poor, these boys always liked to talk about things that sounded impressive to the girls. Moreover, whenever something was mentioned, this group of boys would always brag about the top few world-shaking existences. In the racing circle, the most famous car in the world was SS. Therefore, these boys liked to brag about SS. This was not the first time they had mentioned it. Yun Jian didn't even bother to reply. When they arrived at the racetrack, these boys fought to be the first to show off their skills. Yun Jian, Su Mei, Luo Berry, and Mo Sen sat on the spectator stand and didn't look at these boys at all. There was no one around, only the four of them. Su Mei asked Luo Berry her doubts. "Little Strawberry, who is Madame Luo?" "She's my grandma." Luo Berry's frown was now slightly relaxed. "She's more domineering. She forced my friends to me since I was young, and then..." Luo Berry suddenly stopped talking. Later, she met her good friend, but in the end, her good friend's boyfriend cheated on her. Because her family was rich, her boyfriend turned around and pursued her. Her good friend broke up with her because of this, and even insulted her as a whore. But she couldn't say these words out loud. Luo Berry stopped talking halfway, but the people present could understand the meaning of Luo Berry's words. If Luo Berry had brought the three of them home, Madame Luo would have looked at them coldly and mocked them. No one noticed that Mo Sen's sharp eyes flashed slightly when he heard Luo Mei's dejected words. "When my grandma leaves later, we can go back." Luo Berry looked at Yun Jian and then at Su Mei, and suddenly grinned. Madame Luo didn't live in the Luo family's main house. She liked peace and quiet, so she lived in a small villa not far from the Luo family's main house. It was rare for her to come back. From the racetrack, they could see if there were any cars driving out of the gate. After basking in the sun for about half an hour, she saw the figure of old lady Luo's private driver driving her away. Seeing this, Luo Huan stood up and said to Yun Jian and the other two, "Let's go." On the other side, Chen Xian, who had been racing a few rounds to attract Yun Jian's attention, saw that Yun Jian and the others were about to leave. He quickly rushed over and asked, "You guys are leaving?" "Okay." Luo Huan nodded and left with Yun Jian and Su Mei without greeting Chen Xian and the others. Luo Mei's behavior was very unusual. Seeing this, Yun Jian did not say anything. After staying at Luo Berry's house for a day, Luo Berry asked Yun Jian and the others to stay overnight. The Luo family had a special room for guests, and the room was like a hotel. Someone would come and clean it every day. In the evening, Yun Jian was sleeping alone on the bed with her eyes closed. Suddenly, there was a strange sound of footsteps outside the door. It was not the sound of someone passing by. She turned over and stood up, opened the door and chased after it. Looking at that sneaky figure, Yun Jian's eyes turned sharp. Wasn't that Luo Xiling, Luo Huan's cousin? What did he want to do? Yun Jian's flexible figure was as fast as lightning, and she caught up with him without leaving a trace. When turning a corner, Yun Jian bumped into a group of people. That group of people were the boys who raced with Luo Xiling during the day, including Xiang Jiai, who mocked Yun Jian at the beginning. The Luo family had a special VIP hotel, so this group of people often stayed at the Luo family's house. It was no secret. At this time, Luo Xiling's expression, which was sneaky as if he was going to do something bad, suddenly became normal. He also greeted the friends he met along the way. "Where are you going, brother?" Chen Xian asked Luo Xiling. "I'm going to the rooftop for a walk," Luo Xiling said and walked through these people naturally. Yun Jian also pretended that nothing happened and walked to Luo Xiling. No one noticed her at first. But Xiang Jiai was not happy with Luo Berry, and she was also not happy with Yun Jian. When she saw Yun Jian walking over there, she immediately called out to Yun Jian. Chapter 1727. Xiang Jiayi's gaze on Yun Jian was blatant disgust. Yun Jian originally planned to pretend that she didn't see this group of people and follow Luo Xiling silently. But Xiang Jiayi stopped in front of her and looked at her with an expression that said, "I know what you want to do." As a rich second generation, Xiang Jiayi was very confident in her suspicions. What was Yun Jian doing out here in the middle of the night instead of sleeping? Besides seducing the rich second generation, what else could a poor person like her do? Xiang Jiayi directly identified Yun Jian as that kind of woman. Because Yun Jian didn't refute her words since the day, Xiang Jiayi regarded Yun Jian as a girl who wanted to please her and didn't dare to refute her. Therefore, Xiang Jiayi sneered at Yun Jian even more. "Why aren't you talking?" "Oh. Like I said, someone like you, I already know who you're fighting." Before Xiang Jiayi finished her words, Yun Jian's sharp eyes suddenly glanced at Xiang Jiayi, and then in front of Xiang Jiayi and the surrounding boys who wanted to show off in front of the girls in the afternoon, she mercilessly attacked Xiang Jiayi. "Your family's property is not enough for me to buy 3 fighter jets. What's the use of it?" Yun Jian didn't say anything, and everyone present thought that she had nothing to say. After all, Luo Xiling's family was so rich, and there were rich second-generation young masters and princesses living in the family. How could an ordinary girl not be envious when she lived here? Envy was one thing, but getting it was another thing. But a girl who wanted to be a phoenix flying on the branch, wasn't that the same thing? But to everyone's surprise, Yun Jian actually said such arrogant words. You. Xiang Jiayi was stunned by Yun Jian's words, and she couldn't react for a long time. Finally, another girl standing next to Xiang Jiayi couldn't stand it anymore and retorted to Yun Jian again, "Look at yourself. Why don't you take a look at yourself? A fighter jet? Have you ever flown a fighter jet? I think you don't even know how to drive a car. What fighter jet, puff." I'm dying of laughter. After the girl finished her words, Xiang Jiayi's face became a little better, and then she followed the girl to fight back against Yun Jian. But at this moment, Yun Jian ignored Xiang Jiayi and went straight to where Luo Xiling went. Xiang Jiayi didn't stop Yun Jian at this time. She stood behind and ridiculed Yun Jian until Yun Jian's figure disappeared in front of everyone's eyes. SSSSSSSS, Luo's Luo's atzazazaz, Luo, SSS. SS, look SSCT's look. Was hiding. Luo S's, S. T-Tess, S2 T, S. What made Yun Jian squint was that Luo Xiling's voice was the same as Mo Sen's. After Luo Xiling said this, Luo Meiyue's bedroom door opened in the next second. As soon as the door opened, Luo Mei saw Luo Xiling. She was so scared that her face turned pale and she quickly closed the door. The door was blocked by Luo Xiling. "Cousin, why are you here? What are you doing? If you keep doing this, I'm going to scream for help." Luo Berry's face turned pale. "My dear cousin, you used to refuse to open the door no matter what. Today, I finally got the chance. You like that kid, don't you? He, I still have to thank that kid today. If it wasn't for him, how would you be willing to open the door for me, my good sister? Let me show you some love." Luo Xiling changed his elegant demeanor during the day and turned into a beast of love. Yun Jian's eyes flashed sharply. Just as she was about to make a move, she saw a black shadow flash by. Chapter 1728. Mo Sen's action made Yun Jian, who had planned to come out, hide in the dark and look at him coldly. She had felt that Luo Berry's cousin was not right, but she didn't expect he actually laid hands on his cousin. He could even do this kind of incestuous thing. Yun Jian had seen her fair share of things, so she was only taken aback for a moment. Luo Xiling's body was like a kite with a broken string, smashed to the ground. Seeing the scene where Luo Xiling wanted to humiliate Luo Berry, Mo Sen had an impulse to blow Luo Xiling's head directly. Luo Berry was wearing strawberry pajamas, which was a one-piece style. At this time, she was frightened by Luo Xiling's action and sat on the ground, holding her knees and sobbing. Luo Xiling was kicked by Mo Sun and fainted after landing. Mo Sun didn't know where he got his anger from. He was about to go over and kill Luo Xiling directly. But he saw Luo Berry holding her knees and trembling, squatting and sobbing. Her underwear under the dress was exposed. Fortunately, there was no one around, so Mo Sun let Luo Xiling go. He took off his coat, walked over and put it on Luo Berry, pulled Luo Berry up and hugged her in front of his chest. Even Mo Sun himself didn't know why he hugged Luo Berry. Perhaps it was because it was too distressing to see her sobbing like this. The sound of Luo Xiling being kicked by Mo Sun just now shocked everyone in the villa. After things calmed down, everyone was called to the villa hall. Old Madame Luo had rushed over from another villa overnight. When she arrived and saw Yun Jian, Su Mei, and Mo Sun's attire, she gave them a cold look. Especially when Mo Sun was hugging Luo Berry. At this moment, Luo Berry was only wearing Mo Sun's coat. Her bottom was not exposed, but her white and slender thighs were exposed. When she saw Luo Xiling fainted on the ground, Mrs. Luo was angry. What's the matter? There were many people standing around, including Xiang Jie and Shi Qianxian. Everyone stood in place. There was a boy who was Luo Xiling and Luo Berry's cousin. He didn't know the specific situation, but he knew that Mrs. Luo loved Luo Xiling the most. So the boy talked to Mrs. Luo and pointed to Mo Sun who was holding Luo Berry. It's him. Damn it, he must have plagiarized his cousin. Even now, he still refused to let go. Cousin would definitely find out about this and stop it. In the end, it turned out like this. The boy's words made old Madame Luo frown. She didn't like Luo Mei to begin with, and now she hated her even more. Knowing that Yun Jian and the other two were brought into the house by Luo Berry, Madame Luo hated people like Yun Jian who had no status, so she said in a domineering and feudal way, the Luo family doesn't have a descendant like Luo Berry. Shameless. Hooking up with a wild man who came out of nowhere. You even brought her into our house. Just as Madame Luo was about to continue speaking, Yun Jian immediately interrupted her. He's my subordinate. Old hag, I dare you to say the word wild man again. Yun Jian's words shocked everyone present. Who was Madame Luo? In the Luo family, other than Old Master Luo, Old Madame Luo was the most authoritative person. Even Xiang Jie and Shi Qianxian, who were usually arrogant, were in awe of Old Madame Luo. And Yun Jian. She dared to call Madame Luo an old hag in public? You. What did you say? Who are you? How dare you threaten me? Madame Luo was angered by Yun Jian. She swung her crutch on the spot and roared at Yun Jian. As soon as the words fell, Yun Jian stared at Madame Luo coldly. In front of everyone present, her words scared Madame Luo, including everyone around, out of their wits. The so-called noble families of Z country, the Luo family style is just like this. I am the chairman of Rongyao Company. If I remember correctly, your Luo family begged to cooperate with my Rongyao Company last week. Chapter 1729. Rongyao Company? Chairman? You? After all, old Madame Luo was the mistress of the Luo family. After hearing Yun Jian's words, she quickly reacted and looked at Yun Jian with a questioning and constricted eyes. The faces of the people around who were watching Yun Jian and her subordinate Mo Sun's joke were also slightly stiff. The faces of Xiang Jie, Shi Qianxian, and others almost instantly darkened to the extreme. The color on their faces was as if they had been smeared with feces, extremely outstanding. The chairman of the Rongyao Company? What a joke. Grandma, the Rongyao Company is a big multinational company. Even among the large international multinational companies, it is one of the best. But how old is she? How dare she say that she is the chairman of the Rongyao Company? Don't be fooled by her. The boy who just flattered old Madame Luo just now was Luo Xiling and Luo Mei's cousin, Luo Zhongzhong. Because the Luo family was in business, the descendants of the Luo family usually had contact with companies and had some understanding of many companies in the world today. In order to please Luo Xiling just now, Luo Zhongzhong helped Luo Xiling to say that Mo Sen sneaked into Luo Mei's room and wanted to do something to her. After that, he was caught by Luo Xiling and even knocked out Luo Xiling. Now, in order to please old Madame Luo, Luo Zhongzhong spoke again and found all kinds of reasons to deny Yun Jian's words. Luo Zhongzhong's words were indeed reasonable. What kind of company was the Rongyao Company's status? Could Yun Jian be the chairman of the Rongyao Company? She must be dreaming. It's the middle of the night. Do you think you're dreaming? Could it be that he was sleepwalking? Ha ha ha. There was a burst of mocking laughter around. Yun Jian's eyes deepened. She was about to do something else when Mo Sen stopped Yun Jian's action and stood up. Young madam, this has nothing to do with you. You don't have to do anything. Mo Sen was an upright person. Yun Jian had no responsibility to speak up for him tonight. What's more, he was one of the 4 leaders of the Anhun organization. How could he not solve this kind of problem? Su Mei stood aside and opened her mouth but said nothing in the end. Listen. Did you hear that? He called that girl, young madam. Puff. Did they think that they were from a military family or gangsters? Young madam. Then I'm still the head of the household. Ha ha ha. Later on, he would say that he was the chairman of Rongyao Company. He was a righteous and powerful person. Now you're blowing your own trumpet. Since you're so powerful, why don't you say you're invincible? As soon as Mo Sen's voice fell, a large group of people who were watching the show pointed at Mo Sen and Yun Jian and laughed. This time, everyone really took Yun Jian's words as a joke. Yun Jian naturally ignored the words of the surrounding people. Since Mo Sen had spoken, she would no longer interfere in this matter. Just as Madame Luo knocked on her crutch and was about to say something fiercely, a thunderous roar suddenly came from the gate. What's going on? At the entrance, a majestic figure was walking towards them. Behind this majestic figure, there were a few other submissive figures. The owner of this majestic figure was 175 meters tall. He was a very strong old man. This person was the head of the Luo family, Old Master Luo. The submissive figures behind him were Old Master Luo's sons, daughters, daughters-in-law, and son-in-law. Seeing Old Master Luo coming in and her parents standing behind him, Luo Mei, who was trembling and speechless because of Luo Xiling, shrank into Mo Sen's arms and was hugged tightly by Mo Sr. Look. Old man, look at this. Look at what your granddaughter has done. She didn't sleep in the middle of the night and had an affair with a man. Our good grandson Xiling saw it and knocked him out. Madame Luo complained to Old Master Luo. Chapter 1730. A long time ago, Luo Xiling would touch her whenever he had the chance. Although Luo Mei had never been touched by Luo Xiling, sometimes when Luo Xiling was close to Luo Mei, he would touch her little hand and rub her head. At first, Luo Mei didn't feel strange until she heard Luo Xiling's conversation with his cousin Luo Zhongzhong one night, saying that he must get her. From then on, Luo Mei would avoid Luo Xiling whenever she saw him. This was also the reason why Yun Jian found Luo Mei was abnormal when she saw Luo Xiling when she entered the Luo family. As for Luo Xiling's imitation of Mo Sen's voice, it was not difficult to explain. Luo Xiling must have learned this skill. It could be seen that Luo Mei's status in the Luo family was not high. So Yun Jian was sure that Luo Mei had never dared to tell anyone in the Luo family that Luo Xiling was plotting against her. After all, Luo Xiling's status in the Luo family was very high. Now Luo Mei dared to say it because she was afraid that people around would misunderstand Mo's senator, but just when Luo Mei said this, a middle-aged man standing behind Mr. Luo shouted at Luo Mei, what are you talking about? Shut up. This honest middle-aged man was Luo Mei's biological father, Luo Lin. The quiet middle-aged woman standing next to Luo Lin was Luo Lin's wife and Luo Mei's mother, Bai Wenxiang. Luo Mei's father, Luo Lin, was an honest man. To put it bluntly, in front of Mr. Luo, Luo Lin was as honest as a pug. As soon as he entered the door, he saw his daughter in the arms of a strange man. He didn't even ask what was going on. Because he was afraid of his old father, Mr. Luo, he shouted at Luo Mei directly. Luo Mei burst into tears when she was yelled at. Because she knew this situation and wanted to stay in the Luo family, Luo Mei never dared to say that Luo Xiling was plotting against her. Perhaps in the eyes of outsiders, Luo Mei was a member of the Luo family. She was very well off and could go out smoothly. But in the Luo family, Luo Mei's status was almost non-existent. This was the wealthy Luo family. Look at the situation now. How dare you hug her? What a scandal. Hurry up and come over. Grandpa Luo didn't like Luo Berry either, so when he saw that Imo-san was still holding Luo Berry, he immediately yelled at Luo Berry. Yun Jian narrowed her eyes and didn't say anything. Luo Berry was so frightened by the roar that she trembled slightly. Her heart was bleeding. Everything else was nothing to Rockberry, but to be scolded like that in front of Ma-san, Rockberry had an indescribable feeling. However, Luo Mei still grabbed the coat that Imo-san had put on her and walked towards old Master Luo. However, just as she was about to leave Imo-san's embrace, Luo Mei felt her wrist being grabbed tightly. In the next second, she, who was about to leave Imo-san's embrace, was once again pulled into his embrace. She will no longer be under your control. Imo-san reached out and gently wiped away the tears at the corner of Luo Mei's eyes. He said this without changing his expression. Who do you think you are? Luo Berry was a member of the Luo family when she was alive, and she will be a ghost of the Luo family even after she dies. What right do you have to control her? Grandfather Luo was so angry that his face was bulging. He could tell that this poor kid wanted Luo Berry, right? His Luo family's women's marriages were all arranged with other rich families. Who did this poor kid think he was? He wanted to take Luo Berry away. Bam! At this moment, the door was suddenly pushed open. A figure as handsome as Imo-san immediately walked in. After this figure entered, he walked straight to Imo-san in front of everyone present. The moment this figure entered, Grandfather Luo's face darkened. He was so frightened that he exclaimed at this figure, You are one of the 4 leaders of an Hun group, Adam? After that, Adam, who had attracted everyone's attention, walked quickly to Yun Jian. He first nodded at Yun Jian and greeted respectfully, Young madam. Then, he walked to Imo-san's side and ignored Grandfather Luo. He naturally placed his hand on Imo-san's shoulder and raised his eyebrows at Imo-san. Imo-san, it's been so long since we last met. Even this kind of trash dares to bully you? After Adam finished speaking, everyone noticed the way Adam addressed Imo's senator. Seeing this, Grandfather Luo was so frightened that his face changed. He looked at Yun Jian and then at Imo-san and exclaimed, Imo-san? Are you one of the 4 leaders of an Hun group, Imo-san? Chapter 1731. Among the 4 leaders of the Inhun organization, Shuang was the one who hung around the public the most. Next was Adam. Although Adam and Imo-san often followed CE, Adam would hang around with Shuang whenever he had free time. Therefore, there were still many international bigwigs who knew Adam well. Imo-san was a relatively low-key person. He usually followed CE silently and acted in a low-key manner. Therefore, there were not many opportunities for him to be exposed in front of international bigwigs. As for Lin Wei, he was in charge of the Inhun organization's assassin training camp. Therefore, he had the least opportunities to be exposed in front of international bigwigs. Grandfather Luo happened to see Adam once before. At that time, Adam was still standing with Shuang. In front of the real international bigwigs, Grandfather Luo didn't even dare to fart. Therefore, when he saw Adam, he didn't dare to go forward. At this moment, he suddenly saw Adam and heard how Adam addressed Imo's senator. Old Master Luo was dumbfounded. Especially when Adam respectfully addressed Yun Jian as, Young madam. Young madam? Xiang Jai, Shi Chen Xian, Luo Zhongzhong, and old Madam Luo, who were standing around, were all stunned at this moment. They were looking at Yun Jian with disbelief and fear. Grandfather Luo just looked at Adam and Imo-san and exclaimed. Everyone present felt that Adam and Imo-san's identity was not ordinary. At this moment, everyone who was shocked by Adam and Mo Sen's identity suddenly came back to their senses. Just now, Mo Sen also called Yun Jian as young madam, but the people around didn't take it seriously. Instead, they mocked and ridiculed. At this moment, Adam, who was frightened by grandfather Luo, also called Yun Jian as young madam. And Adam and Mo Sen were the 4 leaders of the Inhun organization? Everyone present was dumbfounded. Their faces were so dark that they couldn't be described with words. Yun Jian, was she the young madam of the Inhun organization? Damn old man, don't look at me with such a shocked expression. You guessed right. Mo Sen, one of the 4 leaders of the Inhun organization, is the wild man you're talking about. Yun Jian crossed her arms. She didn't intend to participate, but she didn't expect grandfather Luo to point the spearhead at her. Therefore, she added a few words. What? The person who scolded Mo Sen as a wild man was Madame Luo. At this moment, after hearing Yun Jian's words, Madame Luo directly covered her heart and was so scared that she almost had a myocardial infarction. Old Master Luo had told old Madame Luo a long time ago that there were only 2 underworld forces in the world that should not be provoked. One of them was the Inhun organization, and the other was the Kosha mercenaries. And just now, she actually scolded one of the 4 leaders of Inhun organization, Mo Sen, whose position was second only to the mysterious leader of Inhun organization. Grandma. Grandma. Mrs. Luo was so scared that she fainted directly, and all the grandchildren around her rushed over. Xiang Jiai, who had said earlier that Yun Jian was delusional about marrying into a rich family and seducing the rich second generation, was in a state of shock. Yun Jian, was the young mistress of the Inhun organization? How is this possible? Also, Yun Jian said that their family fortune was not enough for her to buy 3 fighter jets. Could it be that all of this was real? The surroundings were in a mess. Su Mei was also looking at Yun Jian in a daze when Yun Jian tilted her head to look at Adam. She raised a brow and asked lazily, "Where's Lan Su?" She went to Qin Yu's house now, saying that she wanted to catch up with Qin Yu. I located Mo Sen's address, that's why I came over. He didn't expect to see such a hot scene. Mo Sen, the abstinent type, was actually hugging a woman in his arms. Adam scratched his head and said to Yun Jian. Although Adam was Mo Sen's biological younger brother, he had never addressed him as such. Usually, Adam had never seen his biological brother, Mo Sen, getting close to any woman. What was going on today though? Was the end of the world coming? Chapter 1732. If Mo Sen heard Adam's words, he would not be walking out of this door today. Yun Jian smirked. Luo Berry, who was in Mo Sen's arms, was dumbfounded. He was actually Mo Sen, one of the 4 leaders of an Hun group. The younger generation of the Luo family would usually be taught some knowledge of the business world. Luo Berry had heard a lot about large organizations like an Hun group and Kosha mercenaries. However, Luo Berry thought that she would never have any dealings with an Hun group or Kosha mercenaries in her life, so she had never purposely explained it. Knowing that Mo Sen was one of the 4 leaders of an Hun group, Luo Berry instantly felt that she was not worthy of him. Hence, Luo Berry, who was nestled in Mo Sen's arms, tried to break free. However, Luo Berry's wrist was gripped tightly by Mo Sen and she could not break free. In the end, it was Luo Berry's mother, Bai Wenxiang, who came over to pull Luo Berry away that the drama stopped. It was then that Mo Sen realized that he had been holding the innocent girl's hand for quite some time. What, are you tempted? Snatch her home if you are. Adam, who stood beside Mo Sen, extended his right arm to nudge him as he said with a grin. Don't spout nonsense, Adam. Mo Sen's gaze dimmed as he walked away. Mo Sen was not a man of words. Yun Jian had wanted to help Mo Sen and Luo Berry, but with Adam guiding Mo Sen, her intention to help Mo Sen was nixed. Old Madame Luo and Luo Xiling had fainted, but the Luo family was so busy that they called a family doctor to check on them. They were only relieved after making sure that they were fine. Yun Jian slept soundly that night. After staying at the Luo family for 3 days, Yun Jian even invited Luo Berry to Longmen City before she left. Luo Berry was not going, but she went with Yun Jian after old master Luo called her to the study and lectured her. Yun Jian narrowed her eyes when she saw Luo Meiqi coming out of the study with a sullen face. Although she didn't ask Luo Meiqi what Luo said to her in the study, she could imagine what Luo Meiqi would say. Coincidentally, Yun Jian, Su Mei, and Luo Meiqi were taking a walk in the flower bed. Su Mei couldn't help but ask Luo Meiqi, "Little Strawberry, what did that old man say to you just now?" At first, Luo Meibei refused to say. Later, under Su Mei's questioning, Luo Meibei finally stuttered and told her what old master Luo had told her just now. What? That old man was actually so vicious. He actually asked you to seduce Mo-san. He even said that if you can't seduce him, he'll let you get engaged to someone you don't like? Are you people from the rich and powerful families all so unreasonable? Didn't they look down on him from the start? If you ask me, little Strawberry, you might as well come with me. Su Mei exclaimed after hearing Luo Mei's words. Yun Jian's eyes also darkened slightly. These were all tricks of the rich and powerful families. When they saw that Mo-san had nothing, they couldn't wait to chase him away. Once they knew that Mo-san was the leader of an Han, they ordered or threatened Luo Meiqi to seduce Mo's senator. If the seduction didn't work, fine, then you can just wait to get married to someone you don't like. Although Su Mei was a special forces soldier, she was an upright person. She had never thought that the rich and powerful families would be so complicated. Luo Meiqi was so frightened that she quickly covered Su Mei's mouth. Then, she looked at Yun Jian and then at Su Mei. She said very firmly, "I won't let them get what they want. They want to use his power to gain benefits for themselves. I won't let this happen. Even if I have to get engaged to someone I don't like, I won't harm him." Luo Meiqi said with a determined expression. She couldn't harm him. She couldn't let the Luo family use him. If that was the case, she would rather marry someone she didn't like. Yun Jian raised her eyebrows. When she heard Luo Meibei's words, she saw a slender figure walking over from behind Luo Meibei. Yun Jian purposely didn't say anything. Yun Jian waited for the slender figure to walk in front of Luo Meibei. Then, she grabbed Luo Meibei's wrist. Chapter 1733. Adam and Mo-san were blood-related brothers, so they were somewhat similar. Perhaps Mo-san was usually too calm, while Adam was someone with a particularly bad temper. But when they were angry, the two brothers were really printed from the same board. Mo-san grabbed Luo Mei's wrist and spoke to her very seriously. This action scared Luo Mei so much that her expression changed. "Let go of me. You're hurting me." Luo Mei was frightened by Mo-san's behavior. Mo-san's dark face turned slightly. He lowered his eyes and didn't let go of Luo Mei's hand, but his grip was much lighter. "Sorry," Mo-san apologized in a gentlemanly manner. Yun Jian blinked at Su Mei, and before Su Mei could react, she grabbed Su Mei's collar and dragged her out. Su Mei only reacted after leaving the scene for a while. Was Yun Jian trying to create an opportunity for Mo-san and Luo Mei? Wow, so cool. Su Mei's reflexes were rather slow. It was only when she was dragged out by Yun Jian that she realized what had happened. Su Mei was already in her 20s, but she still had the heart of a young girl. Yun Jian smiled slightly. Just as she grinned, a large group of boys and girls rushed out from the surroundings. Looking closely, wasn't the leader Xiang Jie? Yun Jian only recognized a few of the surrounding boys and girls because they were following behind Xiang Jie. Just as Yun Jian blinked, Xiang Jie pointed at Yun Jian and said arrogantly, "Yun Jian, you made me lose face in front of them. Don't think that you're the young madam of the Inhun organization. I'll be afraid of you." I brought everyone here today to teach you a lesson." Xiang Jie obviously didn't know what kind of existence the Inhun organization was, which was why she said such words. Yun Jian's red lips curved into a smile when she heard that. Xiang Jie was originally walking with Shi Qinshuan's group, but she didn't see Shi Qinshuan and the rest now. It wasn't hard to guess that Xiang Jiayi must have been mocked by Shi Qinxian and the rest 3 days ago when she mocked Yunjian. A rich young lady like Xiang Jiayi wanted to save some face. Plus, she didn't know what kind of organization the Anhan organization was, so she brought a group of people here to cause trouble. Xiang Jiayi didn't know Yunjian's capabilities, so she shouted, "All of you, attack." Xiang Jiayi's words, Yunjian suddenly narrowed her eyes. In the next second, before Xiang Jiayi and the rest of them could do anything, they fainted on the spot. Yun's eyes flashed sharp eyes, and then she fainted too. Su was really fainted. A while later, a large group of men in black came over and took Yunjian and the others away without a sound. These girls are the daughters of wealthy merchants. Look at them, their skin is so soft and tender. Load them all up and take them away. The voice was crystal clear. Yunjian didn't move. She didn't faint, but there was a slight change in her expression. She fainted just now because she wanted to see who the people who drugged them were. However, Yunjian was sure now. Heh, what a joke. She really bumped into them. She had experienced this scene when she was 5 years old in her past life. She didn't expect assassin organizations to have such a huge appetite now. They even wanted to kidnap teenage girls? That was right. The men in black who drugged Yunjian and the rest were from a small assassin organization. Most assassin organizations would kidnap girls around 5 or 6 years old and train them to become assassins from a young age. However, Yunjian couldn't be mistaken. These men in black captured them to train them to become assassins. That was why Yunjian thought they had such a huge appetite. They used to kidnap little girls, but now they wanted to kidnap teenage girls. Was there no one else in the world? Unfortunately, this group of people captured her. What a joke. Slaying God, the top international secret agent ranking, was captured. She was even sent to an assassin training camp. Chapter 1734. But from the looks of it, there were quite a lot of people who had been caught. Yunjian was able to determine that they were currently being locked up in a large truck. There were quite a few teenage girls lying around her. There were also boys, but not many of them. The large truck was sealed off from all sides, leaving only a few air vents, so that the many unconscious boys and girls wouldn't suffocate to death. The voices of conversation just now were clearly coming from outside the large truck. The large truck was sealed off from all sides, so the voices were coming from outside the truck, but she could still hear them clearly. After a while, the voices outside the truck paused for a few seconds, and then another voice came out, "Hurry up. Go, go, go. If we don't leave now, we'll be discovered. Is the back door locked? This batch of goods is very important. They will be working for our organization in the future." People were described as goods in their mouths. After a while, the large truck started moving. No one was awake around her. Yunjian silently stood up and walked to a plastic wall where she could vaguely see the outside. She squinted her eyes and used the dim light to look outside. The large truck was traveling on an extremely bumpy road that was rarely traveled. There was mud all around the road, and large pieces of rocks were piled up together. It was quite bumpy. Yunjian sat in the large truck and could feel the bumpiness around her. She was surrounded by people who had fainted. She stood in place and couldn't move around, but her eyes flashed with a sharp luster. Of course she could escape. Even if she released the innocent boys and girls who were caught with her strength, it would be easy for her to do so. But Yunjian wouldn't do that, because this assassin organization was too strange. Normally, assassin organizations trained professional assassins by kidnapping very young children for training. And once they entered the assassin organization, the chances of survival were less than 0.1%. So if there were children in the future, they must be careful of them. Once he lost it, he would be left with no one to respond to his cries for help. Yunjian was puzzled by this point. Why would this assassin organization want to capture a teenage girl in her prime? Could it be that they wanted to brainwash them and train them into puppets? Therefore, she had to make this trip. Next, we have important news. In the Donglin city of the northern province, on the same day and at the same time, a total of 10 cases of boys and girls went missing. In the driver's seat of the big truck, the driver was driving. A simple and honest male voice came from the car radio. After hearing the important news, the driver guiltily turned off the radio. Yun Jian could hear the man sitting in the passenger seat next to the driver cursing in a low voice after turning off the radio. F***ck, hurry up and drive. Everything will be fine once we leave the territory. After a moment of silence, the driver said in a clumsy voice, the drugs should have worn off. What if they wake up? So what if he's awake? Don't bother about them. The back is locked. Even if they wake up, they can do whatever they want. The soundproofing of this truck is excellent. After that, the driver and the man in the front seat of the truck didn't say anything else. If it wasn't for Yun Jian's amazing hearing, she definitely wouldn't have heard the mutterings of the driver and the man sitting in the front seat of the truck. After about 15 minutes, the people around them woke up. Where is this? After looking around, the first girl to wake up screamed in fright. This scream woke the people around her up from their dizziness. Yun Jian narrowed her eyes and pretended to wake up with the others. Where are we? Were we all kidnapped? Sob, 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 will we die? I want my mother, I want to go home. The light in the big truck wasn't enough. They could only vaguely feel the other party's presence. When the people reacted, a cry was extremely prominent. Chapter 1735. Xiang Jia was, after all, the daughter of a wealthy family. Just like Luo Mei, her family was extremely wealthy. She had grown up with gold in her mouth. Usually, she was so delicate that she did not even know how to do the housework herself. Although Luo Mei was also the daughter of a rich family, she wasn't favored in the Luo family. Hence, she lived a submissive life since she was young. She was afraid that she would say something wrong and be chased out of the family. Xiang Jia was a typical example of a rich young lady. Hence, when she woke up and looked around, she was so frightened that she started crying and screaming when she saw the dark scene. Open the door. Open the door. What is this place? A couple of boys had already regained their senses. They went to the back seat of the truck to break the door. However, the door was so tight that they couldn't break it open at all. Yun Jian sat in the corner and closed her eyes to rest. A large group of girls around her were sobbing non-stop. Not only Xiang Jia, but the group of people she brought with her were also caught. The truck was huge and there were many boys and girls in it that Yun Jian didn't know. Yun Jian's night vision was very good. She could clearly see the faces of every boy and girl in the dark space of the truck. Not many boys were crying, but most of the people who were caught were girls. After confirming that it was a kidnapping, they were all frightened and started crying non-stop. Su Mei was the last to wake up. When she woke up, she was only shocked but didn't say anything. Su Mei was only in her 20s. The people who caught them probably didn't expect that Su Mei was a special forces soldier. At this moment, Yun Jian understood Su Mei's silence very well. She was conserving her energy. Soon, they would be involved in a fierce battle. Boo-hoo. I want to go home. I don't want to be here. Mommy. I miss Mommy. I want to go home. It's so scary here. It's so dark. Boo-hoo. Half an hour later, the surrounding girls' throats were hoarse from crying. Xiang Jia was still screaming. Yun Jian closed her eyes and kept quiet for a long time. Xiang Jia was still screaming and crying 45 minutes after the group of people woke up. Shut up if you don't want to be the first to die. Yun Jian's sudden shout made Xiang Jia, who was still in a state of fear and panic, immediately shut her mouth. It finally quieted down. Yun Jian closed her eyes again. But just as she closed her eyes, Xiang Jia suddenly heard Yun Jian's voice. She grasped Yun Jian's position and pounced on Yun Jian. It's you. Yin Jian, it's you. It's all your fault. If it wasn't for you, we wouldn't be here. Go to hell. Die, die. Xiang Jie screamed madly. She couldn't see where Yin Jian was, but she rushed forward and stepped on several innocent people. Then, she pounced on Yin Jian. However, just as Xiang Jie was about to pounce on Yin Jian, who could sense the source of the sound in the dark, knocked Xiang Jie out with a backhand chop. There was some light coming in from the surroundings. The surrounding boys and girls were shocked when they saw Yin Jian's dexterity. It's noisy. Yin Jian frowned. She directly put the unconscious Xiang Jie aside and closed her eyes again to recuperate. The surrounding boys and girls all sucked in a breath of air, and it was obvious that they were all silent. After a while, the boy who failed to break down the door with his men just now walked near Yin Jian. With the help of the light coming in from the outside, the boy tried to calm himself down. He looked at Yin Jian, who had closed her eyes, and asked softly, "Hello, Yin Jian. My name is Ma Yichen. I see that you're not flustered at all. Well, I want to ask you if you know our current situation." After the boy who called himself Ma Yichen and his friends fainted, they woke up in this truck inexplicably. Of course, he was also afraid, but as a man, he just didn't want to show his fear. "Brother Yichen, what's the use of asking her? She's not a god. How can she know? I think she can't even protect herself. She's still pretending to be noble and not afraid at all. Brother Yichen, I won't let you be a good person today. So what if that group of people kidnapped us?" "Humph, Brother Yichen, you know Taekwondo, Wushu, and Judo. Are you afraid of them?" A rather confident female voice came from the surroundings. There was a hint of flaunting in her words. Yin Jian opened her eyes. Don't talk nonsense." Ma Yichen quickly stopped the girl. The girl's name was Hu Yiru. When she heard this, Hu Yiru was still unconvinced. She was about to continue speaking when Yin Jian's cold words made everyone panic. Chapter 1736. Welcome to the world of killers. Yin Jian's words aroused fear in the hearts of the people present. "What do you mean by the world of killers? What are you talking about?" After Yin Jian's words fell, there were immediately frightened exclamations from the surroundings. What was she talking about? What world of killers? They were kidnapped now, not playing a game. For some reason, Ma Yichen and the two boys standing next to him felt a surge of hot blood in their hearts when they heard Yin Jian's words, even though they did not know what Yin Jian meant. What she said just now made their hearts boil. "It seems that you know where we are. Then, can you please tell us what's the situation we're in now? Did someone kidnap us or?" After a moment of excitement, Ma Yichen looked at Yin Jian and pleaded with Yin Jian to tell him. He was suddenly drugged, and when he woke up, he was loaded onto an airtight big truck, and was transported to an unknown place without any help, no matter how much he screamed. Not to mention those girls who cried at the beginning, even Ma Yichen himself was flustered. However, as a boy, he had to be strong. Could he be like the girls present, clenching his fists and wiping his tears with the corners of his eyes? This was simply an impractical thing. Ma Yichen's anxious question did not get a reply from Yin Jian. At this moment, Yin Jian had closed her eyes. Finally, it was quiet for a while. After a while, Hu Yiru, the girl who looked down on Yin Jian just now, began to grumble again. "Brother Yichen, look at her behavior. Humph. She clearly doesn't know anything and is still pretending. Wasn't the girl who was knocked unconscious by her just now scared? It's normal for girls to cry when they are scared. What about her? She actually said, 'Shut up if you don't want to be the first to die,' as if she is very powerful. Pfft, who does she think she is? So powerful." After Hu Yiru said this, the noisy space suddenly fell silent. Hu Yiru swallowed her saliva. Noticing the sudden silence around her, she turned to Yin Jian and added, "My brother Yichen is so powerful, but he's not as arrogant as you. Shut up, all of you. We don't even know where we're going later. We've been arguing for almost an hour, and we don't even have the strength to speak. Other than being slaughtered, what else do you want? The moment Hu Yiru finished speaking, Su Mei, who had been silent all this while, could not help but speak up. Yin Jian's reply was brief because she didn't want to use all her energy to talk. Su Mei couldn't help but open her mouth. These people were too noisy. After Su Mei finished speaking, Hu Yiru paused. She had nothing to say. Just now, Yin Jian asked you to shut up because she wanted you to conserve your energy. Otherwise, you won't even have the strength to fight back. We don't have anything to eat or drink right now. What's the use of crying and talking all the time? Other than exhausting your energy, do you think you can go back if you cry and talk? If you don't want to die, then shut up quickly. We don't know what will happen later. No one will be able to save you here. All right, I won't say any more. Help yourselves. Su Mei heard the crowd's criticism of Yin Jian. In the end, she couldn't help but stand up for Yin Jian. After hearing her words, the attitude of those who didn't have a good impression of Yin Jian instantly changed. Perhaps it was because Su Mei was older and gave people the impression that she was rather mature, so the crowd really listened to her and stopped talking. Silence returned to the car in an instant. Yin Jian raised her eyebrows and closed her eyes. Chapter 1737. The big truck drove for at least 10 hours before it finally left Country Z. Then, it kept driving, heading to a place unknown to the girls. Yin Jian could feel the trajectory of the car. She remained silent but looked at the scene outside through the small gap in the plastic wall. Will we be sold? After a long time, a young girl hiding in the corner spoke up. After being silent for so long, they were hungry and thirsty. In addition, the girls had cried until they had no strength left. At this time, they were all dizzy and did not even have the strength to raise their hands. Yin Jian and Su Mei had only said a few words, so they were full of energy now. Then, will we be sold off to some old bachelor in the countryside as wives or something like that, just like in the movies? I don't want to. I'd rather die than be sold. As soon as the girl finished speaking, the other girls were so scared that their faces turned pale. Their minds immediately filled with many images, and they were so scared that their bodies kept twitching. In 1999, there were many movies where rural women or children were abducted and sold. The main purpose was to remind everyone to be on guard. There were many good people in this world, but there were also bad people. As mothers, they had to keep an eye on their children at all times. As children, they should not run around casually or leave their mother's line of sight. In times of crisis, as long as someone said something scary, someone would immediately fill in an even scarier image. In the end, everyone was scared together. This was not uncommon. When the girl spoke, the surrounding people's faces changed. Just imagining an old bachelor in the countryside who had not bathed for a few years pouncing on her, that image, ah. No. I don't want to. I want to go home. Brother Ichen, you must protect me. The more Hu Yiru thought about it, the more scared she became. In the end, she was so scared that she threw herself on Ma Yichen. Ma Yichen reached out and placed his hand on Hu Yiru's back to comfort her, but he did not say anything. After a while, it quieted down again. After about 10 hours of driving, the big truck finally stopped. The car did not stop. Although the people present were starving, they were afraid of what would happen in the future. However, they did not feel extreme fear. At this moment, the car stopped. This meant that the future that everyone feared would happen had arrived. What? What should I do? Whoa, I will never come out alone in the future. God, I was wrong, please save me. A young girl's mosquito-like cry for help came from the corner. But there was nothing he could do. 5 hours ago, Xiang Jiayi had already woken up. After waking up, Xiang Jiayi did not cause any trouble for Yin Jian. Xiang Jiayi's friend repeated Su Mei's words to Xiang Jiayi. After hearing this, Xiang Jia felt that she should conserve her energy. She was going to kill Yun Jian sooner or later. This slut. Do you know who you are? Wasn't she just the young madam of the Inhun organization? What's so great about that? Bang! Just as everyone's thoughts drifted away, the back door of the big truck was opened. Perhaps it was because they had not seen the light for a long time. The moment the back door of the big truck was opened, everyone present squinted their eyes. It was already 10 minutes into the evening. Since they were caught in the morning, the truck had been on the road for 10 hours. The sun was about to set. It was obvious that they had been transported out of the country. Yun Jian also squinted her eyes slightly. When everyone saw a row of people holding all kinds of machine guns, pistols, and other weapons, their faces turned green with fear. Guns. Guns. Those are guns. The girls began to scream in fear again. Standing in front of them was a group of men dressed like foreigners. Hearing the screams of the girls, the man standing at the front cursed in a low voice. He lifted the machine gun and was about to shoot at them, but he was stopped by the man beside him. The man beside him was dressed very formally, but his looks were average. After the man stopped the machine gun, he turned to look at the girls. Finally, he spoke to them in Chinese. Chapter 1738. Soul Devourer Organization. Yun Jian's eyebrows, which had just calmed down, rose slightly again. Soul Devourer Organization. The name of this organization was similar to an Han organization's title for a moment. Yun Jian could not help but raise her eyebrows even more. Was he trying to use a similar title to an Han organization to attract assassins from all walks of life to join Soul Devourer, or was he delusional to think that he could stand shoulder to shoulder with an Han organization one day? Yun Jian did not think too much about it. The group of people had already stood on the ground from the big truck. Soul Devourer Organization? Where is this place? I want to go home. I want to go home. Seeing that the foreign man could speak Chinese, a girl shook her head and screamed. She was so scared that her face turned green. Our Soul Devourer organization is naturally an assassin organization, and this place is obviously the assassin training base of our organization. The foreign man, who was standing at the front, explained to the crowd in fluent Chinese. After that, the foreign man bowed to the crowd and continued speaking in a very gentlemanly manner. And you are very honored to be trained as assassins of our Soul Devourer organization. My name is Jean. You can call me Jean. Coach. Okay, I like this title very much. As soon as Jean finished speaking, the girl, who had been hiding in the corner, saw that Jean was elegant and gentlemanly. She immediately begged for mercy. My mother is still waiting for me at home. Please let me go. You can catch them. You can do whatever you want with them. Just let me go, okay? I'll go back by myself. I promise I won't tell anyone about what happened here. The girl selfishly pointed at Yun Jian and the rest and ran back after she finished speaking. Everyone was shocked. Who would have thought that the girl, who was still quite gentlemanly just now, would raise the pistol in her hand and shoot the girl who was trying to escape without giving the crowd any time to react? Blood splattered everywhere. Jean did not realize that he had just killed someone. He was still looking at the crowd with a smile on his face, looking as gentlemanly as ever. Do you like this gift? Ah. 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 That girl was dead. She was dead. Only then did everyone realize where they were. Panic and fear spread through their bodies. Whether it was Xiang Jia or Hu Yiru, who had previously disliked Yun Jian, they were so frightened that their faces changed. Even Su Mei, a member of the Special Forces, had a dark expression on her face. At this moment, Yun Jian's words suddenly flashed across everyone's mind. Welcome to the world of assassins. The world of assassins. She was right. This was really the world of assassins. After killing the girl who was trying to escape, there was no change in his expression at all. It was as if he had just stepped on an ant. It made people's hair stand on end. Alright, baby, don't struggle anymore. Be obedient and you'll be rewarded in the future. He threw the gun in his hand to his subordinate, then took out a white handkerchief from his trouser pocket and gently wiped his palm and the back of his hand. None of the people present would be able to imagine the ghastly and fearful feeling in this situation unless they personally experienced it. Xiang Jiayi was so scared that she didn't dare to make a sound, but she covered her mouth with all her might. She was so scared that her whole body was trembling, and she couldn't even stand straight. Ma Yichen was so scared that his face turned pale. At this time, he was really scared. As for Hu Yiru, who was very proud of her brother Yichen's taekwondo, judo, and sanda skills, her expression could no longer be described as horrified. They were all holding guns in their hands. They were guns. How could she deal with her so-called brother Yichen? Just when everyone present was so frightened that they were trembling all over and squatting on the ground one by one, they were so scared that they couldn't stand straight, a girl's voice suddenly sounded arrogantly. Unknowingly, Yun Jian was already standing in front of Jean. She looked indifferent and looked at Jean and his men without any fear. She spoke in a commanding tone. Chapter 1739. When the girl realized what kind of place this was, she was so scared that she turned around and ran away. However, she was shot dead by Xian, and her blood splattered on the spot. This scene made everyone present turn pale with fright. The first impression Xian gave was that of a gentleman, and it was the same now. However, when the girl tried to escape, he smiled and killed her with one shot as if he was stepping on an ant. What did the girl do wrong? She did nothing wrong. She was just scared and wanted to leave. What about this group of people? They didn't even give her a chance to explain and killed her directly. Xiang Jiayi, Ma Yichen, Hu Yiru, and all the young boys and girls present were so scared that they trembled uncontrollably. This was not a place for humans at all. People could die in this place. This was hell. Hell. However, just when everyone was scared, terrified, and trembling to the extreme, a loud female voice suddenly sounded. Yun Jian's voice spread to every corner of the place. Her brash, arrogant, and fearless voice made everyone present tremble. When they reacted, whether it was Xiang Jiayi, Ma Yichen, Hu Yiru, or the others, they were all dumbfounded. Was Yun Jian crazy? She actually talked to Xian, who killed a girl without batting an eyelid just now. Did she want to die? I'll give you 1 minute to get the leader of your spirit devourer to come out and see me. How could she say such words? Just now, the girl was killed just because she wanted to escape. By saying this, Yun Jian wanted to kill everyone present. Xiang Jiayi's expression changed at the speed of light. Xiang Jiayi originally had a problem with Yun Jian. When Yun Jian said this, Xiang Jiayi didn't even wait for Xian to react and pointed at Yun Jian first. She's crazy. This has nothing to do with us. If you want to kill someone, kill her. Kill her. As Xiang Jiayi spoke, she shrank into the crowd. Come back quickly. Hearing Yun Jian's words, Ma Yichen lowered his voice and kindly called out to Yun Jian, asking her to come back quickly. When Hu Yiru, who was standing next to Ma Yichen, heard his words, she quickly tugged at the corner of his clothes and whispered to him. Brother Yichen, you're crazy. Whether she lives or dies is none of our business. Let her die. Just let her die. Just don't implicate us. Yun Jian narrowed her eyes and looked coldly at Xian, who was standing in front of her. The coldness of the god of slaughter emanating from her eyes made Xian feel terrified for no reason. He couldn't help looking at Yun Jian again. His intuition told him that this young lady was not to be trifled with. They were definitely not in cahoots with this group of abducted boys and girls. Xian suddenly grinned at Yun Jian. Then, under the creepy gaze of a large group of people in front of him, he pointed at one of his men and said to Yun Jian, Young lady, you're very brave. Look. This is my right-hand man, 025. If you kill 025, then you will take his place. Survive. As for them, Xian glanced sideways at Xiang Jia, Ma Yichen, Hu Yiru, Su Mei, and the others, and continued, as long as you kill 025, you can survive. Kill all of them. After that, a large group of men behind Xian pointed their machine guns at Xiang Jia, Ma Yichen, Hu Yiru, Su Mei, and the others. 025 was Xian's right-hand man. In the killer training camp, except for those with high status, everyone was called by a number once they entered. If Yun Jian, Xiang Jia, and the others were to mingle in the killer training camp, only one could survive in the end. This was an unchanging law since ancient times. Therefore, as soon as Xian spoke, Xiang Jia and the others were so scared that they retreated to the corner and dared not move. Yun Jian. How dare you? You. Xiang Jia was afraid that Yun Jian would do it. However, just as Xiang Jia said this, Yun Jian continued to speak. She looked at Xian and pointed at 025, you want me to kill him? Yes, kill him, and his position will be yours. Xian continued to induce Yun Jian. Yun Jian was definitely a good seedling. Xian wanted to take Yun Jian for his own use. Obviously, Xian thought that Yun Jian was braver than ordinary people because of what she said before. In the killer world, if you were strong, you could take the other person's position if you killed him. Xiang Jia, Ma Yichen, and the others gradually began to realize what the killer world was. It was an inhumane place. Just as Xiang Jia and Ma Yichen were afraid that Yun Jian would really do as Xian said, Yun Jian's words suddenly sounded and reached everyone's ears. I don't care about his position. It's better to kill you than him. I'll kill you first, take your position, and then kill the head of your Soul Eater organization. After Yun Jian finished speaking, her figure flashed and she walked quickly to where Xian was. Chapter 1740. What Yun Jian had said was enough to shock everyone present, and it was enough for Xian to kill her. Not only did Xian not kill her, but what puzzled Xiang Jia, Hu Yiru, and the others was that Xian actually gave Yun Jian a chance. He let her kill his right-hand man 025, so that the position of 025 would be given to Yun Jian. This was far beyond what everyone present could bear. The girl just wanted to escape, but she was mercilessly shot dead by Xian. Now, Yun Jian was directly pointing at Xian's nose and asking the leader of the Soul Devourer to come out. And Xian actually gave Yun Jian a chance. But what surprised everyone present was that Yun Jian did not want such a great opportunity. What she wanted was Xian's position. No. She wanted to destroy the Soul Devourer. The Soul Devourer. This was an assassin organization. And Yun Jian wanted to destroy an assassin organization. Did she know what she was doing? Just as everyone sucked in a sharp breath, Yun Jian, who was right in front of them, was already sprinting toward Xian Jin. Xian did not expect Yun Jian to want to kill him. His face suddenly changed, and he wanted to dodge Yun Jian's fatal blow in an instant. So fast. This young girl. Her movements are so fast. Is she originally a professional assassin? Her speed is so fast that I can't even see it with my naked eyes. A boy exclaimed in disbelief. He was dumbfounded, and his mouth was wide open, unable to close for a long time. Oh my God. Look. Just as the boy's mouth was wide open, and he was so shocked that words could not describe it, a voice louder than the boy's came out. Right after that, everyone turned to look at Yun Jian. Perhaps it was because the boy who spoke last spoke louder than the rest. Yun Jian flashed by like a phantom, and at this time, Xian's pupils shrank. Xian was not for show. The moment Yun Jian flew towards him, he instantly dodged Yun Jian's powerful blow. Just as Xian was about to dodge Yun Jian's powerful blow, something happened that made everyone present go crazy. They saw that Yun Jian's trajectory, which was still attacking Xian, suddenly reversed. She seemed to be able to predict the future and knew how Xian would avoid her technique. In the next moment, she opened the 5 fingers of her left hand, and a bright butterfly knife immediately appeared in her hand. She stabbed the knife into the center of Xian's heart. Xian had already blocked Yunjian's first move, but unexpectedly, Yunjian saw through his move. The butterfly knife left a lightning-like afterimage in front of everyone present, and stabbed directly into Xian's heart. The knife stabbed into the center of Xian's heart. The knife fell, and the knife was pulled out. After Yunjian stabbed the butterfly knife into Xian's heart, she directly pulled it out of Xian's heart in the next second. Xian's eyes widened. He even had no time to react before he died on the spot. She killed someone. She killed someone. Xiang Jiayi's initial disdain toward Yunjian was replaced by shock at the speed of light when she saw the bloody butterfly knife in Yunjian's hand. Xiang Jiayi was so scared that her lips turned pale. She seems to belong to the god of killing who lives in such a world. At this time, Ma Yichen looked at Yunjian blankly and said this involuntarily. As soon as he said this, the group of men who had followed Xian with machine guns turned their heads and left one after another. Seeing that their kidnappers had left, Ma Yichen and the rest were terrified of Yunjian's actions, but they were elated that they could finally leave this godforsaken place. However, just when they relaxed their tense emotions, Yunjian shook the butterfly knife in her hand, which had just been wiped with paper, and sneered at the corner. Chapter 1741. As soon as Yunjian finished her words, Xiang Jiayi, Ma Yichen, Hu Yiru, and Su Mei were obviously stunned. Yunjian's words meant, who was hiding in the dark? Who was hiding in the dark? Su Mei knew Yunjian's strength, so she did not say anything just now. She did not want to implicate Yunjian. Now that Zhen's men had all run away, Su Mei finally spoke up. Yunjian did not reply to Su Mei. She blinked her eyes up and down, and her long and narrow eyelashes fluttered. It was a beautiful sight. Didn't you just kill a person? What's so smug about it? Hu Yiru was very dissatisfied with Ma Yichen's evaluation of Yunjian. Even though she had seen such a terrifying side of Yunjian, she still scolded Yunjian coldly. However, Hu Yiru spoke to Yunjian with the mentality that Yunjian would never do anything to her. Yunjian did kill Zhen, but did she dare to kill her? Did she dare? However, Hu Yiru only dared to mutter these words in her heart and did not dare to say them out loud. Hu Yiru. Stop fooling around. As soon as Hu Yiru finished speaking, Ma Yichen suddenly stopped her with her full name and did not let her continue talking nonsense. Brother Yichen, who are you helping? That's how it is. She. Hu Yiru thought that Yunjian was pretending to be a ghost. There was clearly no one hiding in the dark, but Yunjian still had to pretend that there was someone hiding in the dark. However, just as Hu Yiru said this, a strange male voice suddenly came from the dark. There was a trace of indescribable gloominess in the voice. This little girl is so capable. She actually killed the most powerful assassin of our spirit devourer's leader, Zhen. He. After this strange voice came out, a man wearing a black and gray robe walked out from the dark. He had a high nose bridge and a face that looked like a woman's, but the voice that came out of his mouth was that of a foreign man. Although this foreign man looked a little like a woman, as long as one was not blind, one could still tell his gender at a glance. The foreign man spoke extremely fluent Chinese. Coupled with his strange tone of voice, everyone present had a moment of panic. There was really someone hiding in the dark. Who was this foreign man who suddenly appeared? Your purpose. This foreign man had been standing in the dark and watching the situation here for a long time. Yunjian had sensed his presence long ago, but she did not say it before. Now that they were in front of everyone, Yunjian did not beat around the bush with the foreign man. She looked at him and said it nonchalantly. The foreign man was slightly stunned. When he came to his senses, he pulled his lips and broke into an imperceptible smile. The foreign man immediately restrained his strange voice and returned to his normal tone. He looked at Yunjian and said with a smile, I like to talk to smart little girls. He. The foreign man stopped laughing and looked at Yun Jian sideways. He pursed his lips and said softly, "My name is Neil. I'm a senior assassin of the Spirit Devourer. When I saw you kill Zhen, your movements were clean and neat. You're even more powerful than our leader of the Spirit Devourer. So I ask you to cooperate with me. We'll attack from both sides and kill the leader of the Spirit Devourer. As long as you agree, I'll send everyone here home safely. What do you think?" When Neil spoke, his ambition was exposed. He was just a small senior assassin of the Spirit Devourer. His strength was clearly more powerful than Zhen. Why did the leader of the Spirit Devourer not pay attention to him? The leader of the Spirit Devourer was just a woman. Her strength was not much stronger than Zhen. He and Neil were not convinced. So, he wanted to work with Yun Jian to kill the leader of the Spirit Devourer. "So, what about the benefits you're going to give me?" Yun Jian narrowed her eyes and replied indifferently. Neil originally thought that Yun Jian, this little girl, would thank God for sending everyone home safely. However, he did not expect Yun Jian to be unsatisfied. His face darkened and he asked, "Then what do you want?" "I want half of the Spirit Devourer's forces to belong to me." Yun Jian's words made Neil's pupils shrink slightly. Chapter 1742. When the students standing around heard Yun Jian's words, they were all stunned. Yun Jian actually wanted the Soul Devourer's power. What did she want the Soul Devourer's power for? Jinier was also completely stunned. Jinier was stunned because Yun Jian's appetite was too big. Usually, when a girl of Yun Jian's age was captured and sent here, she would be thankful as long as she could be sent back safely. However, Yun Jian actually wanted half of the Soul Devourer's power. In fact, Jinier did not know that Yun Jian usually did not want half of the organization's power, but the entire organization. Usually, when Yun Jian took a liking to someone, she would poach the person and the organization under her name. Now, she wanted half of the Soul Devourer's power for two reasons. First, she did not like Jinier. Jinier was too murderous. If she took him under her wing, there was a 99.9% chance that he would betray her. Second, the Soul Devourer had unspeakable secrets. These secrets would lead to a massacre. If she, Yun Jian, wanted half of the organization's power, if there was a crisis in the future, the first one to suffer would not be her, but Jinier. Yun Jian was not the kind of person who would take people under her wing just because they had strength. It also depended on the other party's character and whether they would betray her. "Of course, you can also reject me and continue to be a high-level assassin," Yun Jian said. When Jinier heard Yun Jian's words, his dark eyes suddenly flashed, as if there was a strange and sinister luster. "Okay. As long as you help me get the Soul Devourer, I'll give you half of the organization's power." Jinier agreed immediately. "Giving it to you doesn't mean that you can't get it back. You're just a young girl, yet you want to get half of the Soul Devourer's power. You must be dreaming." Jinier originally planned to send Yun Jian and her group away casually. Now, he wanted to kill Yun Jian and her group. Deal. Yun Jian clearly saw the sinister flash in Jinier's eyes. She pretended that she did not see anything and smiled faintly. In order to prevent Yun Jian from not cooperating, Neil asked Su Mei, Xiang Jia, Mai Chen, and everyone else present to follow him to the residence of the leader of the Spirit Devourer. What Jinier didn't know was that using Xiang Jia to threaten Yun Jian was completely useless. In the hall of the residence of the Soul Devourer's leader. "Shenji, get out here. Give up your identity as the leader of the Soul Devourer and I'll leave you with an intact corpse." Ha ha ha. As soon as he entered the residence of the leader of the Soul Devourer, he began to make a big fuss. Yun Jian's eyelids twitched when she heard Neil address the leader of the Soul Devourer as such. Just as Neil finished speaking, a woman in her 20s with a voluptuous figure and an enchanting charm walked in from the side. The moment Yun Jian saw the girl, her lips curved into a smile. To think that he would run into an acquaintance here. That's right, Shenji was her old acquaintance. Among the thousands of people who had been trained as assassins in the same batch as Yun Jian, only 3 of them had left in Han Group alive. Yun Jian was the only one among the 3 who had completely escaped in Han Group's control. As for the other 2, one of them was Mad Dragon, who had been poached by Yun Jian from an Han Group to join the Kosha mercenaries. The other person who had left an Han Group alive with Yun Jian and Mad Dragon was Shinji. Back in an Han Group, Shinji had done everything he could to surpass her and defeat her. However, she, slaying God, would not allow anyone to challenge her authority. Shinji had always been brooding over this and had vowed to surpass her in terms of ability in this lifetime. At this moment, Shinji's gaze swept across the room. He fixed his gaze on Yun Jian before turning to look at Neil. He sneered, "The position of the leader of the Soul Devourer can't be snatched away by you and this brat who came out of nowhere." Shinji's words were so intimidating that Xiang Jia and the others felt their hearts skip a beat. They looked a little frightened. However, just as everyone was panicking, thinking that even if Yun Jian killed Shinji, she would not be able to defeat this domineering Shinji. An even more intimidating and arrogant statement that caused everyone to tremble in fear continued to ring out. Chapter 1743. Shinji was a very competitive woman. Apart from that, she was also very ambitious. Like Mad Dragon, Shinji was an agent of the Inhun organization. Out of the thousands of people who had been trained by the Inhun organization with Yun Jian, only 3 had survived. Yun Jian was without a doubt the strongest of them all. Shinji and Mad Dragon were on par with each other. Of the 3, the only one who had escaped the Inhun organization's control was Yun Jian. Shinji was still under the control of the Inhun organization. When Yun Jian first heard about the Soul Eater organization, she thought it was similar to the Inhun organization. Now she understood that the Soul Eater organization was Shinji's outside force. It was just like how Yun Jian had taken over the Kosha mercenaries when she was still in the Inhun organization, becoming the boss of the Kosha mercenaries. The Soul Eater organization was Shinji's own force. At the same time, one could feel Shinji's naked ambition from the similarity between the Soul Eater organization and the Inhun organization. Shinji's actions didn't count as betraying the Inhun organization. When Yun Jian had been in the Inhun organization, she had also been secretly expanding her own force. But when Yun Jian said this, Shinji's expression changed. Shinji raised her eyes and looked sharply at Yun Jian. Her pupils constricted. What did this little girl just say? Shinji had only heard Yun Jian's arrogant words from one person before. Who the hell are you? Shinji's eyes narrowed. She looked at Yun Jian, her expression changing rapidly. Shinji wasn't a weakling. She had been able to come out of the Inhun organization alive. She wasn't simple at all. In spite of it, Shinji had only heard Yun Jian's arrogant words from the person he was the most unyielding and most fearful of in his life. When Neil saw Shinji's reaction, he was even more shocked. Yun Jian could actually make Shinji, who usually didn't show her emotions on her face, so shocked. Who the hell was she? Xiang Jia, Ma Yichen, and Hu Yiru, who were standing around, were dumbfounded. Yun Jian, do you know her? Ma Yichen asked the question that was on everyone's mind. Did Yun Jian know Shinji? Brother Yichen, can't you tell? She was just pretending. He was the leader of the Soul Devourer. Who does she think she is? Don't you know what shame is? When Hu Yiru saw Ma Yichen looking at Yun Jian in horror, she was upset again. Thus, she followed up with Ma Yichen's words. Exactly. Ever since we were on the truck, she had been pretending to be a ghost. If I didn't know better, I would have thought that she was really powerful and even knocked me out. He's really thick-skinned. How shameless. After Hu Yiru finished speaking, Xiang Jia, who had always been unhappy with Yun Jian, spoke up. At this moment, Xiang Jia and Hu Yiru reached a consensus to attack Yun Jian verbally. That's right. She should take a look at herself. Ha! Hu Yiru heard Xiang Jia's words and followed up. Just as she finished speaking, everyone saw Yun Jian look straight into Shinji's eyes without fear. She ignored Xiangjie and Hu Yiru's words and replied to Shinji with a cold smile, "We've been in the Inhun group for more than 10 years. You've tried to assassinate me 309 times in front of me and 109 times behind my back. Every time, you've lost and left in a sorry state. Shinji, you actually didn't recognize me?" There was a slight sneer in Yun Jian's words, but everyone heard them clearly. Shinji's pupils constricted at the speed everyone could see clearly. She then confirmed Yun Jian's identity right in front of Xiangjie, Hu Yiru, Ma Yichen, and everyone else. She exclaimed at Yun Jian, "You're the one who saved me." Chapter 1744. You're 006. Shinji exclaimed to Yun Jian in front of everyone. Everyone was stunned at the sight. Yun Jian, who stood in front of Shinji, raised the red arc with a smirk and spoke to Shinji coldly. "Do you remember when you lost to me for the 409th time and yelled at me, 'I'll remember you even if you turn into ashes'? 095, I didn't think that you wouldn't recognize me after such a short time." When Yun Jian and Shinji were in Inhun, they'd always referred to each other by their numbers. Because in Inhun, everyone only had a number, not a code name. So when Yun Jian and Shinji met, the words they used the most were their numbers. 095 was Shinji's number back then. Yun Jian had an indescribable feeling towards Shinji. This feeling was different from the hatred she felt towards her enemies, and also different from the protection she felt towards her own people. Or to put it another way, in Yun Jian and Shinji's subconscious, they'd already turned each other from mortal enemies to rivals. In the early years, the children who were caught and sent to an Hun organization were all in a state of killing each other. But later on, only a few of them survived. And there were only one or two outstanding people. Without a doubt, Yun Jian and Shinji were the most outstanding of their batch of children. In that inhumane world back then, the reason why Yun Jian and Shinji were more outstanding and powerful than the others was because they saw each other as rivals. They wanted nothing more than to surpass each other, or to stand at a position where no one could touch them. If a person could meet a rival, that was without a doubt a very lucky thing. Because when you see someone who's as strong as you as a rival, you'll do your best to climb up. When you reach the highest point, you'll look back and realize that you're already standing at a position where ordinary people can never touch you. Yun Jian and Shinji had been like this back in Inhun, encouraging each other. But neither of them would reveal this relationship. Therefore, even though Yun Jian and Shinji were women, they were able to trample over the so-called stronger men and become one of the 3 people who walked out of Inhun alive. This was why Yun Jian had revealed her identity to Shinji as soon as she saw him. Yun Jian and Shinji's conversation attracted everyone's attention. This was especially true for Xiangjie and Hu Yiru. Just now, the two of them had criticized Yun Jian for being so pretentious. Now, their expressions were extremely ugly. Xiangjie knew that Yun Jian was a guest at Luo Berry's house. Although she knew that Yun Jian was the young madam of Inhun Group, she didn't know what Inhun Group was and didn't think that Yun Jian was very powerful. Wasn't she just a fence-sitter who relied on men to get to the top? But hearing Yun Jian and Shinji's conversation, Xiangjie was stunned. She stared at Yun Jian and Shinji and exclaimed, "Do you really know each other? I thought we didn't know each other just now. Didn't Shinji not know Yun Jian just now? How was this possible?" Yun Jian really did know the leader of the Soul Devourer group. Naturally, no one paid any attention to Xiangjie's exclamation. Shinji didn't see Xiangjie as a person at all. After acknowledging Yun Jian, Shinji studied Yun Jian from head to toe. Then, he clicked his tongue and continued. "You've changed your face and you're blaming me for not recognizing you. 006, our grudge will never end in this lifetime." The grudge Shinji was referring to was the oath Shinji had made before that he would defeat Yun Jian one day. "I'll be waiting." Yun Jian's lips curled into a faint smile. Then, she glanced at Shinji indifferently. "What are you going to do by raising a puppet?" Raising a puppet? Yun Jian had just met Shinji, hadn't she? How did she know that Shinji was going to raise a puppet? Was she just making things up? Everyone in the distance was shocked again. They didn't know that Yun Jian had already guessed it. Someone is buying puppets. One puppet can be sold for $1 million USD. Shinji walked over to a bench and sat down. He looked at Yun Jian calmly. You have 50 million USD for every mission. Do you really need that much money? Yun Jian stood where she was lazily and chatted with Shinji about mundane matters in front of the dumbfounded crowd. Everyone was flabbergasted by what she did. But what made Xiang Jia, Hu Yiru, and the others even more flabbergasted was what Shinji said next. When Shinji heard Yun Jian's words, he immediately stood up from his seat. In front of everyone, he glared at Yun Jian. Chapter 1745. All professional assassins and agents had a price tag when they went on missions. Also, assassins and agents usually made deals through the assassin website. Yun Jian had logged into the assassin website before. Every assassin or agent had their own account on the official assassin website. Usually, when they accepted missions, they would do business on this special agent killer website. Yun Jian and Shinji used to be assassins from Anhun. After they debuted, they had their own accounts on the assassin website. Their account names were their code names. The website would also evaluate the starting price of their missions based on their abilities and achievements. When Yun Jian and Shinji were first evaluated on the assassin website, their starting price was the same. But as the number of missions and success rates increased, the difference gradually widened. Now, Yun Jian's starting price for a mission had been raised to 100 million USD, while Shinji's starting price had been raised to 50 million USD. This starting price was the official price given by the website after evaluating an assassin or agent. Shinji wasn't weak. She might not be as strong as Yun Jian, but she was only slightly weaker than Yun Jian. But the official price given by the assassin website for Yun Jian was 2 times higher than Shinji's. This was why Shinji wasn't convinced. Yun Jian and Shinji's conversation was very normal. To Yun Jian and Shinji, their conversation was as normal as eating and sleeping. But in the ears of the surrounding people, they were so scared that their souls almost fell out. When Yun Jian said that Shinji's starting price for a mission was 50 million USD, Xiang Jia, Hu Yiru, and Ma Yichen's jaws almost dropped. What kind of mission is this? 50 million USD? 50 million USD. If converted to RMB, wouldn't that be 300 million? 300 million. As long as Shinji went out on a mission, he would be richer than even Xiang Jia, who had been pampered since she was young, put all her money together. This series of words had already frightened Xiang Jia and the others so much that their faces turned pale. But what was worse was that Shinji said that Yun Jian could earn 100 million USD for a mission. That would be 600 million yuan if converted to RMB. Could it be that Yun Jian was also an assassin or a secret agent? She was actually so rich. Ma Yichen and Su Mei were startled by Shinji's revelation of Yun Jian's status. However, Xiang Jia was shocked. It was purely because she had previously mocked Yun Jian for being a woman who relied on men to get to where she was and was not worthy of being the young madam of the Anhun organization. But now that she thought about it, Yun Jian's wealth was beyond Xiang Jia's imagination. Xiang Jia was really stunned. She stood rooted to the ground, unable to recover from the shock. 100 million USD. If converted to RMB, it would be 600 million. Is this for real? She actually. The last person to shout was Hu Yiru. Hu Yiru's eyes widened. She stared at Shinji and asked the question that terrified her. How is this possible? She was just an ordinary girl who only knew how to put on an act every day. She had no ability at all. That's all she was. Hu Yiru didn't believe it. She stared at Shinji, almost suspecting that Shinji was cooperating with Yun Jian to deceive her. Whether it was Hu Yiru, Xiang Jia, or Ma Yichen, they were all high school students in their teens. Usually, they would gather together and brag about some powerful person they knew. That was already the limit of what they could do. However, Yun Jian was just like them. She was just a teenage girl. How could it be possible, that he was such a powerful existence? Everyone present, including Neil and the people who wanted to team up with Yun Jian to kill Shenji, were all stunned. Shenji sneered. After laughing, she turned to look at Hu Yiru and the others, who had been left hanging for a long time. As if she had heard the funniest joke in the world, she sneered. This is the first time I've heard someone say that 006 is an ordinary girl. How interesting. If 006 is ordinary, are there any extraordinary people in this world? Chapter 1746. Looking at Xiang Jia and Hu Yiru, who had mocked Yun Jian over and over again, Shenji almost burst out laughing. This was the funniest joke she had heard this year, bar none. Slaying God, the #1 secret agent on the international secret agent ranking, had been called an ordinary girl by a bunch of ignorant humans who were good at pretending? To be honest, Shenji's starting price for Yun Jian's missions was already considered very low. Take note, this was only the starting price. The starting price was the lowest price. Usually, the price after a deal was completed could double or triple the starting price. However, just hearing this starting price was enough to scare Xiang Jia, Hu Yiru, and the others half to death. Shenji had never heard anyone say that Yun Jian was an ordinary person who was good at pretending. Although she had always been enemies with Yun Jian, she could not help but retaliate when she heard Hu Yiru belittle Yun Jian. When she finished speaking, Hu Yiru, Xiang Jia, and the others' eyes widened even more. They were so shocked that their faces turned pale. However, Shenji had already turned her gaze back to Yun Jian. She could not help but speak again in front of everyone. Although I'm not convinced, Shenji, have always been upright and never talk nonsense. Right now, I can't compare to her. At this point, Shenji's confidence reignited. She looked at Yun Jian and pointed at Yun Jian confidently. She spoke to Yun Jian as if she was challenging her to a fight. But 006, just you wait. One day, I'll surpass you in all aspects. Yun Jian narrowed her eyes. She liked Shenji's unyielding personality. Shenji knew the gap between them and never denied the existence of the gap. However, Shenji had never admitted defeat. She had always maintained her desire to surpass her. Even if the gap between Shenji and Yun Jian's abilities was getting bigger and bigger. Yun Jian understood that the reason she could become stronger was because Shenji had been chasing after her. I'm looking forward to that day. Yun Jian smiled. Yun Jian had indeed come here to help Neil kill the leader of the Soul Devourer. But after seeing that the leader of the Soul Eater organization was Shenji, Yun Jian changed her mind. In the distance, even if Jinier was an idiot, he could tell the relationship between Yun Jian and Shenji. Hearing this, Jinier wasn't stupid. He naturally knew that it was impossible for him and Yun Jian to kill Shenji. Therefore, Neil turned around and tried to escape. Yun Jian immediately saw through Jinier's thoughts. Her eyes darkened, and her red lips curled into a smile as she spoke to Shenji. Your subordinate has just formed an alliance with me. He wants to join forces with me to kill you. He also promised to give me half of the Soul Devourer organization's forces. That's a very attractive offer. Yun Jian didn't say it out loud, but anyone who wasn't stupid could tell that Yun Jian was trying to warn Shenji that the subordinate who had tried to betray him was about to escape. Jinier. Die. When Shenji heard this, he was enraged. In a few short seconds, Shenji caught up to Jinier, who was trying to escape, and killed him in front of everyone. This method of killing was somewhat similar to Yun Jian's. Even so, Xiang Jia, Hu Yiru, and the others were so scared that they didn't dare say another word. Xiang Jia, Hu Yiru, and the others had probably spent their entire lives in fear and shock here. After Shenji finished off Jinier, Yun Jian turned her head and looked at Shenji. She asked him in French, "You said that someone was buying the puppets. Is the person buying the puppets a mysterious person wearing a black robe? Yun Jian asked Shinji in French. Naturally, she didn't want Xiang Jiai, Hu Yiru, and the others to understand her question. As expected, when she said this, Xiang Jiai, who had just recovered from the shock of seeing Shinji kill Jinier, looked at Yun Jian and couldn't help but complain. What kind of bird language is she blabbering on about? Judging from her accent, she seems to be speaking the most standard French. As soon as Xiang Jiai spoke, a boy who'd only heard French before widened his eyes in shock. She can speak French. It's not hard to learn a foreign language, but to speak it so fluently, you'd have to learn it from elementary school to adulthood. The boy added. Chapter 1747. Yun Jian did not find it strange that this group of people would make a fuss over something so trivial. At this moment, Shinji, who understood Yun Jian's words, replied to Yun Jian in perfect French. That's right. The person who bought the puppets was indeed a mysterious man in a black robe. Yun Jian's eyes lit up when Shinji finished speaking. It was the mysterious man. Any unusual organization had an inseparable relationship with the mysterious man. The Inferno Ring at the beginning, followed by the Blood Doll, and now the Soul Eater. Yun Jian realized that whether it was the Inferno Ring at the beginning, the Blood Doll, or the Soul Eater now, they all had one thing in common. The mysterious man was using others to do his dirty work. In other words, the mysterious man had never sent his subordinates to attack Yun Jian, the Kosha mercenaries, or the Inhun organization. He had been looking for forces on Earth to deal with Yun Jian and Ce. This was also the reason why Yun Jian and Ce could not find any trace of the mysterious man. Now that they knew that the mysterious man came from a mysterious continent outside of Yulong mainland, it was understandable why Yun Jian and Ce could not find any trace of the mysterious man. Don't sell any more puppets to him in the future, Yun Jian said without saying anything else. Shinji's eyelids twitched when he heard Yun Jian's words, and he nodded. Sure. Of course, she had to do slaying God a favor. As for the other reasons, Shinji would not ask if Yun Jian did not mention them. The less she knew, the better. Shinji was a smart person, so of course, he would not say too much. Not selling any more puppets meant that the kidnapped Su Mei, Ma Yichen, Xiang Jiai, and Hu Yiru were useless. In the end, they were released. However, before releasing them, Yun Jian made everyone take amnesia liquid for 3 hours before sending them away. As a result, whether it was Su Mei, Ma Yichen, or the rest, their memories stopped at the time they were kidnapped in the truck. He couldn't remember anything that had happened in the last 3 hours, including everything that had happened since he got off the truck. Before Yun Jian left, Shinji asked for an address for Yun Jian. He said that he could challenge her at any time. In the end, Yun Jian and the others were sent back to Loberi's house by Shinji's helicopter. When they arrived at Loberi's house, Yun Jian said that she had been unconscious the whole way. When she woke up, she had fallen unconscious in Loberi's house with everyone else. Naturally, he would not pursue the matter any further. Yun Jian had returned to Longmen City with Luo Berry, Mo Sun, and Su Mei. As soon as they got home, Yun Jian brought Luo Berry to look for Qingyu, leaving Mo Sun at home. She had nothing to do at home, so she went out for a walk. Yun Jian had just brought Luo Mei to Qingyu's house when they saw Qingyu, Gu Nianji, and Leng Mei returning from their stroll. I've decided to get a boyfriend. Let's start again. At this moment, Leng Mei's firm voice was heard. Yun Jian narrowed her eyes and went forward with Luo Berry. After the introductions, Luo Berry got to know Qingyu, Gu Nianji, and Leng Mei quickly. Although Luo Berry was already 18, she looked like she was only 14 or 15. Leng Mei liked Luo Berry quite a lot. Now that they were more familiar with each other, she put an arm around Luo Berry's shoulders and walked out. Leng Mei was sure that her chief, Di Lin, had returned to Blood Doll. He probably gave up on her because he could not find her. Leng Mei had also sent a woman to Di Lin by mail. Yun Jian looked at Leng Mei, feeling like she was starting all over again. Yun Jian watched as Lang Mei put an arm around Luo Berry's shoulders and said boldly. Let's go, little girl. Jie will take you to a handsome guy. Mo-san was not around. Luo Berry blushed at Lang Mei's words. Before Lang Mei could finish, she saw Di Lin coming from behind Lang Mei. Yun Jian, who did not remind Lang Mei of Di Lin's arrival, narrowed her eyes as she watched the fuming Di Lin walk to Lang Mei from behind and grab her wrist, bellowing. Chapter 1748. Yun Jian, who was standing behind Lang Mei, saw Di Lin walking over from afar. She grabbed Lang Mei's hand and called out softly. Yun Jian smirked and gestured to Luo Mei, Qin Yu, and Gu Nianji before turning to walk to Qin Yu's suite. Qin Yu and Gu Nianji exchanged a look when Yun Jian left. They walked over to drag Luo Mei away and gave Lang Mei a do-as-you-see-fit expression before following Yun Jian upstairs with a smirk. Lang Mei, who had been confident that her Lord Chief would never look for her again, turned her head and saw Di Lin. She was so shocked that she jumped back. F***ck, 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 Lord Chief, why are you here? Lang Mei's wrist was suddenly grabbed and she heard this familiar voice. She didn't react in time. She wanted to curse, but she saw Di Lin's familiar face. Lang Mei stopped in her tracks and took a few steps back, almost tripping. Di Lin grabbed Lang Mei's hand with a dark expression. Who do you want to F***ck? Di Lin grabbed Lang Mei's hand and spoke with a face that looked like he was about to tear her apart. She just told another girl that she wanted to hit on a handsome guy. Hit on a handsome guy? Who did she want to hit on? Who else did she want to be with other than him? Lord Chief, that. I was just talking nonsense. That last time, I just wanted to come out and have some fun. I didn't mean to lie to you. Lang Mei dared not look into Di Lin's eyes. She was not short, but her height was just above his ear. Because they were very close, Lang Mei could not see his expression clearly. However, just as Lang Mei lowered her head, her eyes darting around as she tried to come up with a series of lies. Di Lin suddenly put a hand on Lang Mei's waist and pulled her close to him. Lang Mei was stunned. In the next second, a handsome face enlarged in front of her eyes. It was Di Lin who bent over and kissed her on the lips. Lang Mei was dumbfounded. Her eyes suddenly widened. She was so shocked that she could not use words to describe it. This was the first time Di Lin took the initiative to kiss her. Lang Mei had always thought that she was just a mistress in Di Lin's heart, a dispensable tool for him to vent. In the past, it was always Lang Mei who took the initiative to kiss Di Lin. Di Lin would never avoid her, but there was no way he would kiss her or kiss her back. That was impossible. Even when they were doing that, she leaned over and kissed him. Ahem, he never responded to her kisses. This made Lang Mei thought that Di was only using her as a tool. Therefore, when Di Lin suddenly bent down and kissed her, Lang Mei was dumbfounded. She stared at Di Lin's handsome face in shock and didn't come back to her senses for a long time. Di Lin kissed Lang Mei for a long time but didn't get a response. He was a little angry and reached out his right hand to the back of Lang Mei's head, deepening the kiss. Lang Mei took a few deep breaths. Finally, in broad daylight, just as Lang Mei was about to suffocate from Di Lin's kiss, Di Lin let her go. Lang Mei took a few deep breaths. She looked up and met Di Lin's eyes, planning to tell him her decision. Leader, I'll be frank. I've been with you for so many years. I've always been willing. But after so many years, I'm tired. Aren't you tired? Let's end this relationship. I don't want to be your mistress anymore. Just as Lang Mei was about to say everything she wanted to say, Di Lin's face darkened. He interrupted her and said something that made her dumbfounded. Chapter 1749. I love you, that's why I forced you to be my woman. Di Lin's first sentence almost gave Lang Mei a heart attack. What did he say? He said, he loved her. He did force her to be Di Lin's woman back then. Lang Mei knew that Di Lin did not like dirty women, so he found someone he was familiar with, someone who was pure. When Di Lin asked Lang Mei if she was willing to be his woman, Lang Mei nodded right away. Firstly, it was because Di Lin's father had saved her and she wanted to repay him. Secondly, Lang Mei liked Di Lin. However, Lang Mei knew that Di Lin did not like her when she first started following him. She never thought that he would like her one day. It had been so many years. Sometimes, Lang Mei wanted a home of her own. She did not want to be a tool for others to vent their frustrations. Lang Mei was sure that Di Lin did not love her, so she mustered up the courage to say what she said. She thought that Di Lin would let her go if she said what she said. However, Lang Mei never thought that Di Lin would say that he loved her. What surprised Lang Mei even more was, he said that he loved her, that's why he forced her to be his woman back then. Did this mean that he loved her from the beginning? There was too much information in these words, causing Lang Mei to be completely stunned. Lang Mei dared not dream of being loved by the great chief. Looking at Lang Mei's adorable dumbfounded expression, Di Lin smirked. He grabbed Lang Mei and dragged her away. She dared to hide from him these days. Good. Very good. This trip back would take 10 days and 10 nights, not a day less. In Qin Yu's house, on the sofa in the living room. Yun Jian rested her hands lazily on the sofa, blinking. Even Luo Mei, who was also a woman, could not help but take a few more glances at her beautiful and delicate face. Let's go, let's go. He. This is too exciting. The two of them kissed just like that at the entrance of the busy neighborhood. I told you guys to come out and take a look, but you guys didn't. You missed a good show. Hey. Gu Nianji, who had been peeping at Di Lin and Lang Mei from the corridor, ran in excitedly when she saw Di Lin leaving with Lang Mei. Where is he? Yun Jian curled her lips. She pursed her lips and asked indifferently. Gone, already gone, ha ha ha. Gu Nianji walked up to Yun Jian and sat down on the sofa beside her. She was secretly happy that Lang Mei had been taken away by Di Lin. After Gu Nianji sat down, Qin Yu poured a few glasses of orange juice from the kitchen and placed them in front of everyone. Drink, drink, drink. Luo Berry, don't be shy. Just treat this place as your own home. Qin Yu said with a cup of wine in her hand. Luo Berry thanked them and her good impression of Qin Yu and Gu Nianji improved. Taking 2 sips of the orange juice, Yun Jian pressed her lips together and turned to look at Qin Yu, remembering that Adam and Lan Su had returned to Earth from Yulong mainland, so she asked, what's the matter? Lan Su didn't come back. Hearing Yun Jian mention Lan Su, Qin Yu, who felt like she had forgotten something, snapped back to reality. She asked Yun Jian in return, she went to Min City to look for you. Didn't you guys meet? Qin Yu did not know that Yun Jian had gone to Luo Berry's house. She thought that Yun Jian was still studying at Min City's military academy. I haven't been to Min City's military academy recently, Yun Jian said with a press of her lips. Adam did not return to Longmen City. He went back to An Hun Group to report to CE that he had returned from Yulong mainland. Adam had gone to Luo Berry's house purely to look for Mo Sen because he had Mo Sen's phone GPS. Adam had gone to look for Mo Sen after sending Lan Su to Qin Yu's house, so he did not know that Lan Su would go to Min City to look for Yun Jian. Oh God, I gave her your school's address not too long ago. She's probably at your school's entrance now. Qin Yu rubbed her forehead and said helplessly. This was simply a beautiful miss. Besides, she doesn't know how to use a phone, so she didn't buy one. We can't contact her either, Qin Yu added helplessly. How could he miss out on such a magnificent opportunity? I'll go to Min City to look for her. Yun Jian retracted her hand from the sofa and stood up to pass Luo Berry to Qin Yu before heading out. Yun Jian had taken leave recently because she was worried that Chen Sini's injury would worsen. Now that Chen Sini's critical period was over, Yun Jian did not have to stay in Longmen City all the time. Chapter 1750. Lan Su dawdled at the entrance of Min City's military academy for almost an hour. When the guard saw that she was really here to look for someone, he had Lan Su sign a name on the registration form for outsiders and let her in. This was because Lan Su was from the Yulong continent. People from the Yulong continent usually lived up to 1,000 years. Ordinary people could live up to 1,000 years. It was not unusual for people like Lan Su to live up to 10,000 years. Cultivators with powerful spiritual power could even achieve immortality. Of course, other than those freaks in the deity continent, cultivators who could achieve immortality were just legends in the Yulong continent. To Lan Su and the others, time was the least valuable thing. Therefore, when the guard did not let her into Min City's military academy to look for Yunjian, Lan Su had waited at the entrance for a whole hour. Lan Su was not flustered even after an hour of waiting. She had planned to wait for Yunjian to come to Min City's military academy after class. In the end, the guard could not stand it any longer and let her in. Min City's military academy paid special attention to outsiders because the students in the school were usually the future pillars of the country. Lan Su knew which class Yunjian was in. Qingyu had told her before, so Lan Su headed straight to Year 1, 2. Just as she reached Year 1, 2's classroom, Lan Su stood at the door and looked around. She frowned in suspicion when she did not see Yunjian. At this moment, a pretty girl walked past Lan Su. She saw that Lan Su had been waiting for quite a while, so she looked at Lan Su and asked, "Classmate, who are you looking for? Do you need me to call that person out for you?" "Year 1, 2's Yunjian," Lan Su answered the kind girl. "Yunjian, she's been." The girl was about to reply to Lan Su when she was pushed aside by a fierce figure. After the fierce figure pushed the girl away, she pushed her into the classroom and spoke to Lan Su first. "I know where Yunjian is now. I'm taking leave to go home now. I'll bring you to her. She's not in school." "Thank you," Lan Su thanked her politely. "Are you really Yunjian's friend?" Looking at Lan Su's innocent and naive demeanor, the owner of the ferocious figure who had bumped into the girl just now was Lin Shia, who had always been at odds with Yunjian. Her eyes darted around as she asked Lan Su again in a reassuring tone. "Yes," Lan Su answered simply. Okay. Come with me. I've just taken leave to go home. I'll bring you to Yunjian now." Lin Shia scoffed inwardly and led Lan Su out of the school gate. Since Yunjian was really not in school and Qingyu said that Yunjian was in Min City, Lan Su followed her without much thought. 15 minutes later, Lin Shia brought Lan Su into a smoky bar. Lin Shia found an excuse to take leave from school so that she could gather with some of the gangsters she knew at the bar. A large group of men and women sat together and chatted about some ambiguous topics. Who knew that she would bump into Yunjian's friend at the entrance of the class? She looked so innocent. It was really effortless to obtain it. She, Lin Shia, wanted Yunjian to know the price of provoking her. Lan Su did not have a deep understanding of Earth, so she did not think too much about it. However, when Lin Shia brought her into the smoky bar, Lan Su was slightly stunned. Yunjian was here? Chapter 1751. Lin Shia couldn't wait to frame Lan Su, so she urged her. When Lan Su heard this, her eyes flashed slightly, but she listened to Lin Shia's words and walked into the noisy smoky bar. Here. I'm in school. I'm good friends with Yunjian. She's amazing. Previously, she won first place in the wilderness survival event during military training. Today, we agreed to take leave together and come here to play. Lin Shia was afraid that Lan Su wouldn't believe her, so she instilled in Lan Su that she knew Yunjian and was good friends with Yunjian. Lan Su was skeptical, but she didn't say anything. She followed Lin Shia into the private room of the bar. The bar was very noisy, and the violent sound made people's hearts jump. There were also differences in bars. There was a kind of bar that was more romantic. Generally, there were bartenders in the bar, and the bar would also invite a special band to sing. Another kind of bar was a place for urban men and women to relieve pressure after a busy day of work. This kind of bar was generally a place where men and women got to know each other and talked. Moreover, the rock music was set to be particularly loud. When people stood in the bar, they could feel their hearts and bodies being shaken. Generally, the latter was a more chaotic place. It was also a place where one-night stands or things like being drugged often happened. Lin Shuya brought Lan Su to a more chaotic bar. As soon as he entered the bar, he could smell a strong scent of perfume, or perhaps it was some kind of smell that could make people excited. Lin Shuya brought Lan Su around the noisy bar and came to a private room. As soon as she entered the private room of the bar, the noisy and chaotic sound in the private room made Lan Su frown slightly. In the private room, there was a large group of men and women hugging each other. Some men even boldly placed their hands on the women's thighs and stroked them. Lan Su's appearance was outstanding, so as soon as she entered the private room, she immediately attracted the fiery gazes of the men in the private room. "Yo! Sister Shuya, this is..." Immediately, a few punks came over and looked at Lan Su with malicious eyes. "She's a friend of my friend Yunjian. Brother Jia, where did Yunjian go? Why don't I see her?" Lin Shuya saw that the man in front of her was sizing up Lan Su with his lecherous eyes for a few moments, so she winked at the man called Brother Jia a few times and said. Jia saw at a glance that Lin Shuya was lying to Lan Su. So Jia immediately, Lin Shuya's to continue to bluff Lan Su, "Sister Yun sister just went out to buy some water, and will be back in a while. Don't worry, it's yours first time coming here, right? Sit on the sofas tts, s's, sit." Lan Su didn't refuse. After a while, Jia walked to Lan Su with a glass of juice. He smiled at Lan Su, "Sister, I see that it's your first time coming to a bar. Don't drink with them. Drink a glass of juice to quench your thirst. Your friend will be back soon." At this time, Lin Shuya, who was sitting next to Lan Su, also said, Jia told you to drink 2 sips, so drink 2 sips. I'm going out to look for Yunjian. I don't know what she's doing, why hasn't she come back yet?" With that, Lin Shuya pretended to leave the hotel's private room. Lan Su put the juice halfway to her mouth and smelled the smell of the drug in the juice, but she didn't expose it and drank it in one gulp. Didn't anyone tell them that she was the same as her family's sorcerer god? They both had a physique that was immune to poison. However, Lan Su still fainted symbolically. Lin Shuya, who was standing outside the private room, saw that Lan Su had fainted so quickly. She quickly walked into the room from outside the private room and stopped pretending. She directly tore off her hypocritical mask, pointed at Lan Su, and said to the men in the room, "I'll give you a gift. Turn the sound in our private room to the maximum. You can do whatever you want with this woman. Just don't kill her. I'll guard outside for you. Hurry up." As soon as Lin Shuya finished speaking, a man immediately pulled off his belt with a cheer. The sound in the private room was very loud. It wasn't the first time this group of men had done something like letting a large group of men take turns with a young girl. Lin Shuya was even more confident that she could destroy Yunjian's friend, Lan Su. "This is beautiful. TSK, brothers, last time those women were all first. This time, I have to go first." As Brother Jia spoke, he took off his pants without any shame, leaving only a pair of pure black underwear. With a wretched smile on his face, he walked towards the unconscious Lan Su. The people around all cheered with an "oh," all of them treating it as if they were watching a show. However, just as Brother Jia was about to reach Lan Su and was 3 meters away from Lan Su, the door of the private room was suddenly kicked open. Lin Shuya, who hadn't walked out of the door yet, was so scared that she took 2 steps back. Outside the door, a petite but slender young girl stopped and entered. When they saw the young girl who suddenly entered, the eyes of the people around them lit up. This young girl was so beautiful. But before the people present could exclaim, they saw Yunjian, who had just entered the room, coldly looking at the scene. She saw Brother Jia walk towards the unconscious Lan Su and didn't even raise his eyes before a knife flew out. The knife followed the trajectory and accurately stabbed Brother Jia, who was only wearing a pair of underwear. The knife chopped off Brother Jia's manhood on the spot in front of everyone. Seeing this, the faces of the people who were still laughing just now were instantly frightened to the extreme. She actually, before they could think much, they heard a voice that was even more sinister and cold than the azure of hell. Chapter 1752. Yun Jian was furious. Lan Su was not only her protector in her previous life, but also her friend. In her previous life, as the witch god, Lan Su had accompanied her for thousands of years. This kind of feeling was indescribable. At this moment, the knife that she threw out directly chopped off Brother Jia's genitals, causing Brother Jia to roll on the ground in pain. She opened her 5 fingers, and 2 shiny butterfly knives were held between her hands. Yun Jian slowly walked into the private room. With every step she took, everyone present felt their cells tremble violently. She just threw out a flying knife, and that knife seemed to be held in the hands of the Grim Reaper. With a flying knife, it was so accurate that everyone present felt that it was inconceivable, and one knife crippled Brother Jia's genitals. This kind of terrifying skill should not appear on a teenage girl at all. But this girl who suddenly appeared at the door of the private room did it. Just when everyone was panicking about the background of this girl who suddenly appeared, Lin Xia, who was not far from Yun Jian, pointed her finger slightly at Yun Jian. She was so scared that her face turned pale, and she screamed on the spot. Yun Jian. You. Why are you here? Lin Xia had seen Yun Jian's methods. This time, she dared to do this because she was sure that Yun Jian was not in Min City. Lin Xia had just said this, and before she could finish speaking, Yun Jian kicked Lin Xia's abdomen in front of everyone in the private room, and immediately kicked Lin Xia to the ground. Her figure followed closely, and the butterfly knife in her right hand swung left and right. She nimbly and accurately placed the blade of the knife on Lin Xia's neck, who was kicked to the ground. This process was completed in 2 breaths, but it frightened the group of girls standing around, as well as the gangsters who were like Brother Jia in the society. These gangsters were usually very powerful, and they often liked to bring their girlfriends or female friends out to places like bars or nightclubs to play. Usually, when a large group of people played together, they always liked to brag about things that they thought were very proud and arrogant, and then get a large group of girls to worship them, in order to show their holiness. Usually, such hooligans would form gangs. However, no matter how arrogant and powerful they were, they had never seen a girl as powerful as Yun Jian. As a result, this large group of hooligans all opened their mouths wide and stood in place with an expression of disbelief. Looking at Yun Jian, they could no longer speak. After Yun Jian kicked Lin Xia to the ground, she placed the butterfly knife on Lin Xia's neck. The sneer on her face made everyone's hair stand on end. I'll send you to hell, okay? Yun Jian, we are classmates. Put the knife down. Let's talk nicely. Everything that happened just now was just a misunderstanding. Lin Xia's eyes widened in fright as she tried to find an excuse. As soon as Lin Xia said this, Yun Jian pushed the butterfly knife in her hand towards Lin Xia's neck. That burning pain instantly spread throughout Lin Xia's body. Lin Xia screamed as blood flowed out. She didn't dare to move anymore. However, they heard Yun Jian's lazy voice again, but the words weren't directed at Lin Xia. Why aren't you getting up? Yun Jian directly ignored Lin Xia. Everyone was shocked. Why aren't you getting up? Just as they thought this, they saw Lan Su, who was pretending to be unconscious, turn over and get up from the sofa. When everyone saw this, they were dumbfounded. She. Wasn't she already unconscious? How did she wake up again? And more importantly, Yun Jian could actually see that Lan Su was pretending to be unconscious. Lan Su had just deceived everyone present. Everyone couldn't help but wonder who Yun Jian was that Lin Xia provoked. This person was too scary. Lan Su rubbed her nose and parted her lips slightly before she walked to Yun Jian in front of everyone and nodded at her, saying, "Yun Jian, you're the one who's going to make a mistake." Chapter 1753. As soon as Lan Su's words fell, the group of delinquents standing around, including Lin Shuya and the others, all froze. What clan leader? What master? How come they couldn't understand what Lan Su was saying at all? But even if they couldn't understand, this group of delinquents didn't dare to make a sound. They had just seen Lan Su drink that cup of juice with the knockout drug. Lan Su had indeed fainted, and now he woke up as if nothing had happened. This could only mean one thing. The knockout drug had no effect on Lan Su at all. And Brother Jia, who had wanted to be the first to make a move on Lan Su, had now been turned from a man to a woman by Yun Jian. How could they dare to say anything more? Did they not want their lifeblood anymore? This group of delinquents, who used to be extremely cocky, were now all cowering in the corner, not even daring to say a single word. After hearing Lan Su's words, Yun Jian simply kicked Lin Shuya away, sheathed her knife, and turned to look at Lan Su. "Where is he?" Yun Jian asked. In her previous life, the old man who taught her hypnotism and all kinds of skills was her master. If it wasn't for him, she might have already died in her previous life. "Let's talk outside." Lan Su glanced at the people around and spoke to Yun Jian. "Okay." Yun Jian nodded. But before leaving, Yun Jian did something very interesting. 30 minutes later, the bar's room attendant came to the room. When she opened the door to the room and saw the scene inside, she was so shocked that she covered her face and screamed. She saw that the large group of men and women in the room had all fainted, but the only thing that could be seen was that the large group of men and women were hugging each other in pairs, their clothes disheveled, as if they were doing something unspeakable. In the end, Lin Shuya and the group were all taken away by the police for group prostitution. Of course, what happened next had nothing to do with Yun Jian. After Yun Jian and Lan Su left the bar, they came to an empty corner. "Sorcerer God, we don't know your master's whereabouts at the moment, but the clan leader found out that a martial arts family on Earth had helped your master before. Before your master left, he left a letter for the master of the martial arts family. That letter contained a detailed way to contact your master, saying that it was to repay the kindness of this family head. It's just that the head of the martial arts family is rather stubborn. The patriarch has already sent people 3 times to exchange various treasures for the letter, but they still couldn't get the letter." Lan Su conveyed what Wu Lan, the tribe leader of the Wu tribe, wanted to tell Yun Jian. Yun Jian's eyes flickered. "Where is that warrior family?" Yun Jian pursed her lips and asked. "Sorcerer God, are you going there personally?" Lan Su asked. "Okay." Yun Jian nodded. "It's in a small ravine in the north of Dongdong province. It's very far from Longmen City," answered Lan Su. "Pack up. We'll depart in 3 days." It was Friday, 3 days later. They would depart on a holiday. Yun Jian's lips curved as she spoke faintly. "Okay." Lan Su nodded obediently. After the announcement, Lan Su returned to Longmen City while Luo Mei stayed at Qin Yu's house. Chen Sini's injuries were almost healed, so Yun Jian went back to Min City's military academy. Lin Wan and Muing stayed with Yun Jian for half a day in Min City's military academy. When the physical education class ended in the afternoon, the physical education teacher announced that the students were free to do whatever they wanted. Yun Jian, Lin Wan, and Muing sat on a lawn nearby, looking at the blue sky leisurely. "Yun Jian, let's go shopping after school on Friday. There's a new mall in Min City recently. The clothes there are really pretty." Lin Wan suggested. "I have something on this weekend," Yun Jian declined. "All right, we'll go next week then." Lin Wan knew Yun Jian well. She would not press for the reason even if Yun Jian said that she could not go. Yun Jian nodded. Just as the physical education teacher returned to his office and Yun Jian's classmates were free to do whatever they wanted, a middle-aged man walked over from afar. The middle-aged man left in a hurry, attracting the attention of many people around him. Yun Jian narrowed her eyes as she watched the unfamiliar man walk up to her. When the middle-aged man came to Yun Jian, he knelt down in front of her in front of all the students in the field and shouted, "I'm sorry, Yun Jian. Please save my young master. Save my young master. I beg you." When the surrounding students saw this, they were all stunned for a moment. What was wrong with this man? Why was he kneeling before Yun Jian and begging Yun Jian to save his life? Yun Jian was Team Monarch/ing God, but she was only good at it. Was it not the doctor's job to save lives? "Uncle, are you looking for the wrong person? Saving people is a doctor's job." Lin Wan replied in front of the other students after she heard that. However, before Lin Wan could finish her sentence, the middle-aged man shook his head and looked at Yun Jian. "No. There's no mistake, it's her. She's the legendary hand of death who can bring the dead back to life." With that, the middle-aged man looked straight into Yun Jian's eyes and said urgently to Yun Jian in front of everyone. Chapter 1754. The middle-aged man's pleading posture was eye-catching. Especially when he had come to the school to beg for help. Yun Jian's class was not the only class that was having PE class. There were a few classes around them that were having PE classes as well. The middle-aged man's cry for help and what he said earlier echoed clearly throughout the classroom, shocking many who were there. Especially when the middle-aged man said the last sentence. He actually said, Yun Jian was the hand of death in the medical field. She even revived a girl who was declared dead in Longmen City's People's Hospital. What kind of joke was this? There were a few girls in Yun Jian's class who were closer to Lin Shia, so they burst into laughter when they heard what the middle-aged man said. The hand of death in the medical field? You don't say. I really do pay attention to the medical world. The hand of death is known as the king of the medical field. I heard that she can even revive a person whose heart and brain were declared dead. She's the most amazing medical genius in the world today. She's the real reincarnation of Hua Tuo. But how can such an amazing person be Yun Jian? Even if she's dead, she can't be Yun Jian. And if Yun Jian is so amazing, why didn't she choose military medicine when she applied for military school? A girl who looked decent standing not far away from Yun Jian was Yun Jian's classmate and Lin Shi's friend. As the girl spoke, she mocked Yun Jian in an indirect manner. She thought she was amazing because she majored in military medicine, unlike Yun Jian who did not know anything about medicine and trained her skills with the guys all day long. Once the girl spoke, many people around them chimed in agreement. Yun Jian's ability was already so outstanding. Could she be the hand of death? The middle-aged man insisted on his opinion after listening to the people around him. No. She must be the hand of death. As he spoke, the middle-aged man looked at Yun Jian and said to Yun Jian, there's a recording of the operation you performed in Longmen City's People's Hospital the last time. You saved a dead man. As long as you save our young master, our old master will give you a reward of 50 million. The middle-aged man's surname was Zhua, and he was the housekeeper of the young master and old master's house. Steward Zhua had watched his young master grow up. Just now, his young master had gotten into a car accident. The hospital had concluded that he could not be saved and could only wait for death. Coincidentally, the doctor at the hospital said that only the hands of the medical world's Grim Reaper could save her. The doctor also said that Death's hand was last seen in Longmen City People's Hospital. Steward Zhua's family was powerful and influential. He managed to find out Yun Jian's current identity with just a few phone calls and even found the surveillance footage of Longmen City's People's Hospital's surgery scene. As soon as he got the address, Steward Zhua immediately rushed over to beg Yun Jian for help. A reward of 50 million. 50 million. In this day and age of 1999, 50 million was an astronomical figure. It was equivalent to a few billion in modern times. Therefore, when they heard Steward Zhua's words, the surrounding students were dumbfounded. Even the girl who was certain that Yun Jian was not the hand of death was completely dumbfounded. Just when everyone thought that Yun Jian would agree to Steward Zhuo's request regardless of whether she was the hand of death or not, a cold smile appeared on Yun Jian's face. From afar, Yun Jian smirked and looked at Steward Zhuo with a cold smirk. She said faintly, "Since when did the fee for me to save someone become so low?" When Yun Jian finished speaking, everyone was stunned. Yun Jian's words meant, could it be that she was the one in the legends? Before they could ponder further, Yun Jian's words were heard again. She was speaking to Steward Zhuo. Chapter 1755. Yun Jian's words entered everyone's ears, and they were all shocked. Yun Jian's words were an admission of her identity, and she was also telling Steward Zhuo about it. She wouldn't save people. As the hand of death in the medical world, Yun Jian rarely saved people. Although she was the hand of death in the medical world, not everyone could be saved. It wasn't easy being a doctor. Not to mention her as the hand of death. Even if an ordinary doctor had excellent medical skills, was very strong, and could perform every operation smoothly, if he failed one day, people would completely lose confidence in him. There was no time when people didn't make mistakes, and there was also no time when they didn't make any mistakes. This was true. However, in the medical world, to the common people, and to the general public, no one would use this to understand doctors. How could there be any mistakes when a person's life was gone? Even an ordinary doctor would be despised because of a careless mistake, let alone her, who was at the top of the medical world. Yun Jian wasn't a god, so naturally, she couldn't save people from the dead every time. In the past, Yun Jian relied on her hands to save people. Now that she had recovered her spiritual power, it was unrealistic for her to use her spiritual power to save people every time. On Earth, every time she used her spiritual power to save someone, she would have to bear the punishment of not making any progress in her cultivation for 10 years. Every time she used her spiritual power, it would be stacked. After saving Chen Sini last time, Yun Jian's cultivation had been stagnant for 10 years. Naturally, she couldn't easily save people again. Yun Jian's words were all true, but to the students around Yun Jian, it was abrupt and shocking. Yun Jian's words didn't mean that she was admitting that she was the hand of death. You're the hand of death? You're really the hand of death? You must be joking. The girl who mocked Yun Jian earlier glared at Yun Jian, her face pale with fright. Mu Ying wasn't surprised at all. She knew that Yun Jian was slaying God, so she knew that all these identities meant nothing to Yun Jian. Steward Zhuo's expression changed slightly after hearing Yun Jian's words. He wasn't surprised that Yun Jian would reject him. In front of everyone, Steward Zhuo fished out a black envelope from his pocket and passed it to Yun Jian. "This is a letter that my master wrote to you. He said that he wants you to read this letter before making a decision." Yun Jian was sitting lazily on the lawn, her arms resting on both sides of her body, her eyes narrowed. Seeing Steward Zhuo pass a letter to her, she accepted it and quickly opened the envelope to skim through its contents. After reading the letter, Yun Jian tore it into pieces in front of everyone. Then, she stood up and said to Steward Zhuo, "Let's go." Steward Zhuo was skeptical at first. Before he came to look for Yun Jian, his master had said that Yun Jian would never agree to save his young master. However, his master had given him a letter saying that Yun Jian would definitely agree after reading it. Where are we going?" Steward Zhuo didn't know how to react. By then, Yun Jian had already informed Lin Wan and Mu Ying and walked away. After Steward Zhuo asked, Yun Jian's voice came from afar. "Your young master is beyond saving if we're late." Did Yun Jian mean that? She agreed. Steward Zhuo didn't know how to react. Chapter 1756. Yun Jian's change in attitude caught everyone off guard. Why did she agree? Mu Ying and Lin Wan didn't understand why Yun Jian had agreed, but Yun Jian must have her reasons for doing so. Seeing Yun Jian walk away, the girl who had mocked Yun Jian at first, but was later shocked by Yun Jian's actions, her face darkened. Since Steward Zhuo could enter the school through the main entrance, he could definitely take Yun Jian out immediately. Moreover, Steward Zhuo's family was very powerful. It wouldn't be difficult for him to take Yun Jian out of the school first. Steward Zhuo was the steward of the Shen family. The Shen family was a wealthy family in Jianghu province, not far from Zhe province. The Shen family was built by Steward Zhuo's father. The Shen family was a wealthy family. Strictly speaking, although they weren't as rich as the Luo Berry family, in this era, a wealthy family like the Shen family was an existence that ordinary people could only look up to. They were an existence that ordinary people would never be able to touch in their entire lives. The Shen family had a private helicopter. Steward Zhuo took the private helicopter from Jianghu province to Min City in Zhe province. The helicopter flew for more than an hour before Yun Jian arrived in Jianghu province. Nanchang, Jianghu province. Nanchang was the richest and most prosperous area in Jianghu province. Although Nanchang wasn't as developed as Zhe province, it wasn't that bad either. Steward Zhuo took Yun Jian directly to the Nanchang People's Hospital. According to him, his young master had been sent to the Nanchang People's Hospital. He was relying on the hospital's equipment to keep him alive. He was in a coma. In this state, he could only hold on for 3 more days. Steward Zhuo took Yun Jian all the way to the operating room. However, halfway there, Steward Zhuo, who was taking Yun Jian, encountered a group of people. This group of people had sad faces. They were obviously the young master's family and friends. Yun Jian, who was standing at the side, could see that this group of people was worried about the young master's life because of the car accident. Although everyone in this group of people looked depressed, some of them were pretending, and some of them were really so. When they saw Steward Zhuo, an elegant woman who was holding a handkerchief ready to wipe her tears, but Yun Jian could not see any hint of sadness in her, called out to Steward Zhuo, "Steward Zhuo, Steward Zhuo. Steward Zhuo, Master asked you to bring the hand of death from the medical world here. Why did you bring this little girl here? Is this little girl Xiaoqing's girlfriend?" The woman glanced at Yun Jian from left to right. Yun Jian could clearly feel that the woman didn't like her. Xiaoqing was the young master that Steward Zhuo mentioned, Shen Xiaoqing. As for this woman, her name was Hua Wenru. She was Shen Xiaoqing's stepmother. When Hua Wenru saw Yun Jian, her face was full of disgust. When she first saw Yun Jian, she thought that Yun Jian was so beautiful. Could she be Shen Xiaoqing's girlfriend, who had seduced Shen Xiaoqing to fight for the Shen family's inheritance? Therefore, Hua Wenru didn't wait for Steward Zhuo to explain. She decided on an identity for Yun Jian herself. Then, she started nagging at Yun Jian. "Little girl, you're so young, but you're so cunning. Our Xiaoqing doesn't want a girlfriend like you. Hurry up and leave." Hua Wenru glared fiercely at Yun Jian. She didn't look like the stepmother who was wiping her tears with a handkerchief when she found out that Shen Xiaoqing was dying. Yun Jian's eyes flashed. "That's right. Our big brother doesn't want a girlfriend like you. Big brother has been in an accident for so long, and you're only here to see him now." Scram! A young girl standing next to Hua Wenru actually shed tears. She really thought that Yun Jian was Shen Xiaoqing's girlfriend after Hua Wenru's words. Therefore, she immediately shouted at Yun Jian angrily. However, just as Hua Wenru was about to use even more vicious words to chase Yun Jian away, Steward Zhuo angrily introduced Yun Jian to the young girl who was talking about Yun Jian to all of Shen Xiaoqing's friends and family. Chapter 1757. Steward Zhuo had no time to explain to these people blocking the way. If he continued to explain, would his young master still have a chance to live? So Steward Zhuo finished speaking and pushed away the group of people in front of him, intending to lead Yun Jian to the hospital's operating room first. Hua Wenru, the girl just now, really thought that Yun Jian was young master Shen Xiaoqing's girlfriend, especially Hua Wenru. When she scolded Yun Jian just now, anyone with a discerning eye would know that she was scolding Yun Jian for being vain. As for the other girl who scolded Yunjian, it was purely because of Hua Wenru's words that made her run away. That girl was Shen Xiaoqing's biological sister, named Shenbai. Shenbai listened to Hua Wenru's words and really thought that Yunjian was Shen Xiaoqing's girlfriend, so she scolded Yunjian. Her brother Shen Xiaoqing had an accident for some time. If Yunjian was really her brother's girlfriend, where was she when her brother had an accident? Why didn't she come to see her brother? But after listening to Steward Zhuo's words, Shenbai was slightly stunned. Yunjian was actually the legendary hand of death in the medical world. After recovering from her shock, Shenbai softly apologized to Yunjian. "I'm sorry, I just mistakenly thought that you were my brother's girlfriend." Shenbai was still considered a good girl. She was so emotional just now because her brother Shen Xiaoqing had such an accident these few days, so it was inevitable that she would be emotional. But Hua Wenru was different. She couldn't wait for Steward Zhuo to fail to invite the hand of death and for Shen Xiaoqing to die. When she saw Steward Zhuo bring Yunjian over, Hua Wenru was already certain that Yunjian was definitely not the hand of death, so she just spoke up to find a reason to suppress Yunjian. But Hua Wenru never thought that Yunjian was really the hand of death in the medical world. This can't be true. How old is she? She's about the same age as Shen Xiaoqing and Shenbai. How could she be the famous hand of death in the medical world? The hand of the Grim Reaper that could bring back the dead? Stop right there. Hua Wenru rolled her eyes and shouted at Steward Zhuo, who was about to bring Yunjian to the rescue. "Steward Zhuo, even if you can't get the Grim Reaper's hand to help you, you shouldn't get a little girl to make up the numbers, right? This is related to young master's life." On the surface, Hua Wenru looked like she was always thinking for Shen Xiaoqing, but in fact, she just wanted to stall for time. He didn't believe that Yunjian was the hand of death. This was one of the reasons. More importantly, what if Yunjian really was the hand of death and saved Shen Xiaoqing? Hua Wenru did not give birth to a son or a daughter for the Shen family. She only hoped that after Shen Xiaoqing died, she could give birth to a son to inherit the Shen family's business. "Madam. It can't be wrong. She was the hand of death." Steward Zhuo still couldn't tell that Hua Wenru was stalling for time. He wanted to continue explaining to Hua Wenru, but when he turned his head, he saw that Yunjian had already walked to the operating room. "My time is limited. If you continue to stall for time, you'll have to give me half of the Shen family's fortune in exchange for saving your young master." Yunjian walked forward with her hands in her trouser pockets and said calmly and leisurely. In the end, Yunjian added, "I believe that compared to a son, it's only half of the family's fortune. Your old master will give you that." After she finished speaking, Yunjian's lips curved into a cold arc. These two sentences were completely directed at Hua Wenru. If you continue to stall for time, you might even lose half of the family's fortune in the fight for inheritance. After hearing Yunjian's words, Hua Wenru was really angry and annoyed. However, she really didn't say anything else. Instead, she looked at Yunjian's receding figure and clenched her fists angrily. Yunjian followed Steward Zhuo all the way to the door of the operating room. At the door of the operating room stood a man in his 50s. Half of his hair was already white. The moment he saw Steward Zhuo and Yunjian, the man hurried forward to welcome them. "Great Sorcerer Goddess." The man walked over and was about to kneel before Yunjian in the same way that commoners in Yulong mainland would greet the Great Sorcerer Goddess. Yunjian's eyes flashed slightly. She replied calmly, "I'm here. There's no need to greet me." Chapter 1758. After Shen Wei heard Yunjian's words, he did not insist on bowing. After all, this was a hospital, and there were many people coming and going. If he, a man in his 50s, publicly knelt before Yunjian, a teenage girl, the people around him would probably think that he was crazy. Yes, Shen Wei was from the Yulong continent. Of course, simply because Shen Wei was from the Yulong continent, it naturally did not affect Yunjian's desire to save him. What really affected Yunjian's desire to save him was, "Do you really have a way to restore all my memories from my past life?" Yun Jian raised her eyebrows and looked at Shen Wei with an extremely cold expression. Yes. But to help you restore all your memories of the sorcerer god, I have to pay a high price, so I hope that you can help me with one more thing after you save my son, Shen Wei said to Yun Jian. Steward Zhuo was also from the Yulong continent, so there was no need to avoid talking about this in front of him. What is it? Yun Jian pursed her lips and said. Can you be my personal bodyguard and protect my daughter, Shen Bai, for a month? My son, Shen Xiaoqing, didn't become like this because of a car accident, it was caused by someone. I'm afraid that person will harm my daughter again. Shen Wei thought of this and frowned as he spoke to Yun Jian. I know this is a difficult task, but you are the sorcerer god, how can you protect people like us who have no status in the Yulong continent? Shen Wei thought that he had put Yun Jian in a difficult position, and even he himself felt that he was asking too much of Yun Jian. Just as he was about to say something else, Yun Jian interrupted him, deal. Protect Shen Wei's daughter for a month, save Shen Xiaoqing, and get all her memories from her past life. This was a very good deal. Last time when she was absorbing the memories transmitted from the sandalwood box, she was interrupted halfway, and Yun Jian only remembered part of it. She always felt that she had forgotten something important. Moreover, she should be able to find traces of the mysterious person from her past life's memories. At this moment, Ce was not here. If Ce was here, he would definitely stop Yun Jian from recovering her memories. In his previous life, Ce had sacrificed too much for Yun Jian. He didn't want Yun Jian to know because he didn't want her to feel apologetic towards him. He would rather she never recover her memory than remember that she once went to settle accounts with the mysterious man. Because he was there for her. He would take back everything that he owed her. Shen Wei had already prepared everything for the surgery because he had expected Yun Jian to come. When Yun Jian arrived, Shen Wei and Yun Jian exchanged a few words before Yun Jian entered the operating room. 2 hours later, Yun Jian removed the surgical tools and walked out of the operating room. How is it? Hua Wenru, who was standing at the entrance, was the first to rush over and ask. Outsiders thought that Hua Wenru was worried about Shen Xiaoqing's life. That was right, Hua Wenru was worried about Shen Xiaoqing's life. However, she was only worried about whether Shen Xiaoqing was dead or alive. Yun Jian ignored Hua Wenru. She turned to look at Shen Wei and said, your son will wake up in 3 hours. Although Shen Wei already knew that this would be the result, he still heaved a deep sigh of relief after hearing Yun Jian's words. Master, it's good that Xiaoqing is fine. It's good that he's fine. Hua Wenru stood beside Shen Wei and pretended to be relieved. However, she turned her head and glared at Yun Jian fiercely. This little bitch actually saved Shen Xiaoqing. His life is no longer in danger. I have to go back and do something. I'll come back a day later as scheduled, Yun Jian said to Shen Wei. She had been Shen Bai's bodyguard for a month. During this month, she had to ask for leave from the school and explain to Qin Yiru that she could disappear for a month for no reason. Moreover, she had to explain the reason to Ce. Otherwise, he would come looking for her. In fact, even if Yun Jian didn't say anything, Ce would still come looking for her no matter where she went. For some reason, Yun Jian felt that Ce didn't want her to remember her past life. Therefore, Yun Jian didn't tell Ce the details. Chapter 1759. Yun Jian returned to Longmen City after that. First, she contacted Lan Su to postpone her trip to Dongdong province to ask for an envelope containing her master's contact number from the head of the martial arts family for a month. She then went back to settle Luo Mei down and explained to Qin Yiru before returning to Min City's military academy to apply for a month's leave. Yun Jian's ability was outstanding, so it was not difficult for her to apply for a month's leave in school. Qin Yiru was aware of her identity now. Before she left, Qin Yiru reminded her to be careful of her own safety and to remember one thing no matter what danger she encountered. Don't treat your life as a joke. It's not scary to lose anything because you still have us. Hearing Qin Yiru's words, Yun Jian's heart warmed. A day later, Yun Jian arrived at the Shen residence as scheduled. The Shen family's villa was similar to Gu Yunjian's. The style was grander and classy, so it was presentable. By then, Yun Jian had already entered the Shen family's house. When Shen Wei saw Yun Jian, he gave her a small bow and brought Yun Jian to the study to discuss business. Hua Wenru clenched her fists tightly when she saw this. This little slut, she couldn't be thinking of seducing his master, right? In the study. Yun Jian sat in front of the desk in the study while Shen Wei stood beside her, looking at her submissively with his head lowered. If an outsider were to see this, they would be scared to death. Shen Wei was a prominent figure in the southern part of the province. For such a prominent figure to be so respectful to a teenage girl, would it not be frightening? Yun Jian played with the black pen in her hand as she listened to Shen Wei introduce the Shen family's current situation to her lazily. I, Shen Wei, was originally the pride of an aristocratic family in the Yulong continent. Although my Shen family is not even a 10,000th of the sorcerer tribe, it's still not bad. I, Shen Wei, was originally the heir of the Shen family, but I was framed and chased out of the Yulong continent. Shen Wei was originally the heir of the Shen family in the Yulong continent. After being framed, he was chased out of the Yulong continent. As he had nowhere to go, he left the Yulong continent with Steward Zhua, who was willing to follow him, and came to Earth. Then, she met Shen Xiaoqing and Shen Bai's biological mother, so she settled down on Earth. Shen Xiaoqing and Shen Bai's mother died early due to illness. For the sake of their children, Shen Wei had no choice but to remarry. In the blink of an eye, 20 years had passed. Shen Wei realized that he was not the only one from the Yulong continent. In the southern part of the province, there were many people from the aristocratic families of the Yulong continent. Not only did these people form cliques, but they also severely suppressed the aristocratic families who did not join them. Shen Wei's daughter, Shen Bai, was studying at Meteor Aristocrat Academy. Many of the students in the academy were descendants of aristocratic families in Yulong mainland. Shen Wei's son, Shen Xiaoqing, had an accident, and these people couldn't get away with it. Because Shen Wei refused to join them and collude with them, this group of people made a move on him. Because we can't use spiritual power on Earth, we fight openly. The descendants of these aristocratic families have been practicing their skills since they were young, so their strength shouldn't be underestimated. But fortunately, we can't use spiritual power on Earth. When I was chased out of the Yulong continent, all my spiritual power was crippled. Otherwise, I wouldn't be able to deal with them at all, Shen Wei sighed. After listening to Shen Wei's words, Yun Jian's hand that was twirling the black pen paused. Her eyes flashed sharply. You're saying that the aristocratic families of the Yulong continent rely on their own abilities to suppress the aristocratic families who don't cooperate with them? Yes. This was the point that troubled him. You're tuning into the Biyao's Wuxia Chronicles YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.